Testing, testing. Alright, that's on. Hello, hello everybody. We are back and we are streaming, my friends. Yes, we are. Doing debates. Let's make it quick. This stream will not last all night, my friends. This stream is just a little bit for fun as I wait for the dryer to finish. Folks, use code TheNathanG on Fortnite. It's a real good code. Many people are big fans of it. I feel like I should make it smaller though. Let me modify it a little bit before everybody starts pouring in, you know? Code TheNathanG. There you go. Just experimenting with that a little bit. I wonder if I can also make it smaller. 36. Let's try 28. Yeah, that's actually better. Make it smaller and more across like that. There you go. That looks better. Use code TheNathanGalang. Bro, go to bed. I feel you. But my things are in the dryer and I'm letting it dry, you know? So, with a little bit, maybe like make this an hour stream or something. I don't plan to debate all night, of course. But just make a little bit of content before sleeping. Because I wanted to, or planned to tomorrow. But I'm probably going to be busy tomorrow. Got to do some things, you know? So I was like, okay, I got some clothes in the dryer for tomorrow. I want to get some out before I go to bed. Why not stream a little bit, right? Streaming makes the time go by pretty quick. So the call-ins are open. Let's get it on. If there's a Maga in the chat that are happy because today is Inauguration Day, and they actually think that Donald Trump is going to look out for them, thank you for coming, AJ Monty. If you're going to go to sleep, I completely understand it. But yes, if you're MAGA in the chat, if you're viewing this, if this is popping up on your shorts feed, you have an opportunity to explain why you are MAGA. You know? You can argue for your guy, prove to me that he's alright, and, you know, maybe you could change my mind. I really doubt it, though. I wouldn't bet on it, personally, but it's always important to stay optimistic. You know what I mean? So folks, if you think that Donald Trump is looking out for you, and I'm missing something, I'm missing some key information potentially, you gotta let me know what I'm missing, because I'm genuinely curious. I don't know what I'm missing. To me, he just seems like an overall shitty guy. Yeah? Not a fan of him personally. But maybe I'm missing something that you guys know. But I don't know. I'm gonna put on some fucking tunes. Some music. We're gonna make it fucking MIDI to avoid any copyright, you know what I mean? Because we're polite like that. But shout out to, oh, I pressed something in my mouse here. I think it was this one there. Shout out to S2Lu's MIDI Studio, playing random songs in MIDI data for old school players and gamers. Folks, if you think that Donald Trump is looking out for you, feel free to call into the number above my head. And we can have that debate, we can have that conversation, because it's a conversation that needs to be had. What is... Oh, you know, I bet North Korean music wouldn't be copyrighted. We're gonna do that. We're gonna, fuck it, we're gonna go North Korean music right now. Ernesto, are you think it can be a civil war at some point? No. I think we have too much, at least not any near point. We have too much treats, we have too much distractions, things people enjoy. You know, people always talk about civil war, revolution, this, that, or the other, but people don't want revolution. People don't want to live that way, at least in the developed world, in the West, right? Things have to get real bad to get to that point. Talk about how we created an issue by trying to ban TikTok last year. Now he's the one that gets to save it, got it, reinstated. Yep. That's an unbelievable disaster. And personally, I think that they tried to ban TikTok because of all the people caring about Israel and Palestine. You know? Fred Job says, the first Trump president term helped the working people, but you would not know what a job is. Well, if you consider Elon Musk and Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg the working people, I would agree with you. But I do disagree with you because I don't consider them workers. I consider them leeches. Blood-sucking, disgusting leeches, folks. That's who Elon Musk and Bezos and Zuckerberg and... Hey, let me throw you guys a bone. Soros, too. Every billionaire. I'm not a big fan, honestly. Hopefully you guys can understand that. But MAGA, we already see one of you in the chat. You can call in. If there's something that I say that upsets you, I want to hear from you. I want to be able to have conversations with you, and you can have conversations with a liberal, right? So you can understand the other side. I think that's a good thing to understand the other side. Frankly, Obama's doing helped us during Trump's first term, but let's not get the economy was in stable condition after Obama's term. The issue was that the social safety net has been weakened for the last multiple decades. So when a thing like COVID came around, we couldn't handle it well. And it was an economic disaster, not just for us, but the world. But the reforms that Donald Trump did was just make it easier to be a rich person in America, cut the rich people's taxes, spend more money on the military, even if he's cutting revenue, increase the deficit. You know, he promised to... Damien says, if you don't like billionaires, don't use their products. Wow. Ain't that an approach? I should just kiss the fucking feet of billionaires if I dare use an iPhone. You heard it here from Damien here. Worship the billionaires. Personally, I'm a Christian, right? So, even like in a religious manner, I'm not a big fan of the concept of the billionaire. You see, I think that life should be easier for everybody and not just the billionaires, and I don't think that we owe our existence to the billionaires. I give that to God. If you don't like socialism, don't use public roads. Exactly. I mean, if they call Medicare for All socialism, that's what they would say. I guess to them, socialism is when you spend public money on public things and all people get the benefit from it. So yeah, don't use the roads if they are passionately against these socialist ideas, you know? Passionately against these socialist ideas, you know? I was just checking how it sound on my phone. Turn up the music a little bit. Listen to some bangers, dog. It's a pretty casual stream. Excuse me. Like Trump, I enjoyed some Diet Coke earlier. How much cans of Diet Coke do you think Donald Trump drinks in a single day? I think a good amount. And that's not even me hating, because I drink Diet Coke too. I think it's good when you're trying to lose some weight. You don't need to drink your calories, you know? But folks, if you disagree with me and think that we should actually drink our calories, call in. Let's have a conversation. Let's have that debate, my friends. If you think Ronald Reagan is a good president, if you think that the culture war is the most important issue of the day, then let's have that debate. Let's have that conversation. This person says taxpayers pay for the roads. That is true. You know, people, it's interesting, I was talking to a lady the other day, and she was saying that she likes John F. Kennedy, but then she called Obama a socialist, a communist, because of Obamacare. Kennedy supported universal health care. Kennedy supported Bernie's position, not Obama's position. This person says at least Reagan was funny. Reagan, yeah. You can be a smiley face, you can tell jokes, but then if you screw the people, I probably will despise you even more. Elon Musk. It gets to a point to replace the people on his assembly line with robots. It's kind of the jobs he's going to create. Yeah, I think he would love to replace all his workers with robots. He would love that more than anything. John Adams says Trump 2025. Well, I don't think that Donald Trump is running for any special elections or local elections that are happening in 2025. The election was last year. So, I don't know what to tell you. I don't mean to disappoint. But you can't vote for Trump this year. I feel like... Nah, you don't want it too close to the edge. I was gonna move this, the call and text a little bit more to the right, but I think it's fine the way it is. This person here says, who's gonna be president in 2025? Numbnut. John, if that's your real name. You don't need to debate stupid shit. Right? When people say Trump 2024, or Trump 2020, or Trump 2016, it's because there's an election year. Nobody says Obama 2009, or Biden 21. Because nobody says, nobody's running for election on the first year of their presidency. You said something silly, Trump 2025, and you got called out for being silly, and now you're getting defensive of it, and I don't know what to tell you. I would have the same reaction if some liberal said Biden 2021, bruh. It's goofy. It's silly. A penny for thought. Can you please give me an example of anybody saying Biden 2021 or something like that in all seriousness? People say Biden 2020, Trump 2020, Biden 24, Trump 24, because it's an election year. Okay, I mean, I guess this is the thing. This is the thing with the Trump supporters. It's actually like talking like two children. But frankly, talking to like a student, they act more civil and can understand basic concepts a little bit better than the average Trump supporter. And that's unfortunate. But folks, if you're MAGA, if you're Trump 2025, you know, you are beyond Trump 2024, and I respect that. Call in and explain to me what's happening. What's gonna go on? What are you looking forward to? Why is he not gonna be a corporate oligarch puppet? What's different than the first term? Your explanation is too complex for them to comprehend. It seems like that's the case. But personally, I think Trump's gonna be a disaster. I think it's gonna be a disaster. I think it's gonna be another big step towards oligarchy. Ah, thank you, John. Everything I'm looking forward to. Can't think of anything specific, so you just gotta say everything. I love that. I love asking for specifics, and you say, well, I just love the guy. I just really want to jerk him off, man. He's He has really big balls. You're gonna be like fucking Don Jr. posting that picture of that guy with the ball sack and the fucking wagon and saying, Trump. A bizarre thing to post about your dad, in my opinion, but what do I know? Don Jr.'s just, it's a different fucking animal. He loves his dad's balls. You know, it must be real depressing to be Don Jr., because you are Trump's oldest son. You are supposed to be kind of the successor. But then everybody in MAGA world is like hyped about Barron. I don't know if maybe Don Jr.'s a little ugly in their eyes. I don't know what exactly the deal is. He doesn't have the look. Definitely Eric's not seen as the successor. Ivanka was for a long time, but it seems like she wants to distance herself from her pops. But Don Jr. doesn't. I don't think Don Jr. is getting the attention he wants, which is, you know, it's honestly kind of funny. My favorite thing about Trump is how he's backtracking all his campaign promises. Really makes me trust his word. That's what Ismail says. Very true. You know, I remember when he was running on lowering prices. It wasn't really that long ago, and now he's saying that it's actually very hard to bring down egg prices. That's what he's saying. He was supposed to be the pro-peace candidate, and now he's threatening war with Panama, Mexico, Canada, Greenland. So much for pro-peace. He wants to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America for some reason. It's a little bizarre. I don't know what the Gulf of Mexico ever did to him. As far as I understand, his properties in Florida are next to the Atlantic. So I don't think he has much connection to the Gulf of Mexico, personally. Colin says, hostages are set to be free because of Daddy Trump. He means business. Colin, I need you to tell me this. Genuinely. This is fascinating to me. I've seen a good amount of Trump supporters call this 80-something-year-old man Daddy. And it's not the female Trump supporters. Just to be clear, it's not the females. It's the males. And they love saying, Daddy Trump, Daddy's home, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. Daddy. Personally, I never called Biden Daddy. Right? I don't really do that with politicians. John Adams says, Daddy Trump. Okay. It's fascinating. I'm not part of the MAGA world. I don't understand looking at a politician and saying, Daddy. Right? Colin says, he's my spiritual daddy and confidant. This is why they say you guys are in a cult, bro. This is why they say you guys are in a cult. I'm just saying, this isn't me forcing you to call this a grown ass man daddy. You just calling him daddy. Project Photo says daddy back. You're all calling him daddy, it's not me. I don't like calling other men daddy personally. As the straightest man to ever live. Tao says, this dude doesn't understand sarcasm. Brother, I don't think they're being sarcastic. Born Critical says, Grandpa's gone. You know, Trump's an old man, too. Colin says, well, I'm 40, so I'm too old to be his grandson. You're a 40-year-old man at 2 a.m. calling another grown-ass man daddy. Ernesto says, how much time did you think it's gonna pass where MAGA voters find out that the price of food isn't going down? I don't think they actually ever cared, personally. I think there are people, regular Americans, that care about the price of things and do feel like things are expensive. That's why they wanted an alternative. That's kind of what we saw around the entire Western world, besides Mexico, where they have a proper left-wing president. But diehard MAGA, the base, they don't care about the prices. They do not care about lowering it. They don't care about peace. they were saying, oh, he's the pro-peace candidate, he's the pro-peace candidate, he's the pro-peace candidate. They don't give a fuck about peace. This person says, you remember when the Dems wanted to pull a 25 on Trump for dementia? I don't think they ever wanted to pull a 25 on him for dementia. I think they just thought he was insane. Right? And I think that was particularly after January 6th that the notion of pulling the 25th Amendment was being floated around, not by Democrats, but by his own Republican cabinet, because there was an attempted coup. You know? So that's more of a Republican battle, not a Republican-Democrat battle. Biden should be in a straitjacket, a penny for thought says. Well, yeah, you know what? Maybe you have a point. The guy that supported the Israeli genocide of Palestinians should be in jail. Same with Trump, who gave Israel everything he wanted when he was president. Actually more than what even Sheldon Adelson expected him to give. Sheldon Adelson gave him about $100 million and was shocked about how much Donald Trump gave to Israel. Tao says, ignoring what I'm asking. Tao, you're not the main character, man. There's multiple people here. I didn't see what you sent. I'm scrolling up. I'm seeing the last thing you sent was, this dude doesn't understand sarcasm. But I'm not seeing nothing. Maga's in the chat. Maga, call in. I want to hear your point of view. I want to have that important debate about the future of the country. Dilly Dilly says, this poor boy hasn't even taken a shower since it was announced that Kamala lost. You know what's interesting? When you talk to Trump supporters, they expect you to have the same love and passion for Democrats or something that they have for Donald Trump. I've been critical of Kamala Harris since I ever knew who Kamala Harris was. Now, she was the better of the two candidates. But also, the election was a few months ago. And you can't stop talking about Kamala. I'm talking about the guy who's going to be president and the policies that he's going to push. Because I care about the policy. I don't think you guys do. I think you guys just love the cult of personality. You guys love the community because you guys lack that community. And you find it with other Trump supporters. Hopefully, at least. But that's more being optimistic about you guys. And frankly, I'm not seeing any policy discussion in this chat. Colin has been saying nothing, but he's like, just come to the right side, brother. What's on the right side? Come call in and let's have a conversation. Let's have a debate. Let's have a discussion about the policy, because I want to know what I'm missing. Dilly Dilly says mass deportations. Mass deportation. Okay, Tao is spamming now. How much is the, come on, spit it out, DNC? What do you mean, how much is the DNC? Paying? Oh, paying you. Oh, well, if only they paid me. Closed borders. Dilly Dilly, there was still people coming in under Donald Trump in his first term, and mass deportations, if done, would destroy this economy. Ask any economist. Deport 40% of agriculture workers. Tell me how the price of food will go. You guys want to see the lowering of the price of food? That's contradictory to Trump's promises. Again, if you guys want a proper conversation about the issues, you guys can call in to the number above my head, and we can have that debate. 305-209-5560. Tao Feng says, the argument is brought my slaves. No, I want people that are ready to work in America to become legal citizens so they have the same legal protections. Starmother says, remember when Trump was president, there was no wars. No, there was a war in Afghanistan. There was a war in Iraq. There's a war in Syria. He supported a genocide. He increased drone strikes 432%. He gave Israel everything they wanted. Israel illegally occupied the Golan Heights, which is Syrian territory. He tried to overthrow Venezuela. So no, he was no dove. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I see Tao here says, no, new wars of a lovely standard. You can drop as much bombs as you want. You can support as much genocides as you want, like the one in Yemen. I'm sure you guys very much definitely know what was going on in Yemen during Trump's presidency. But as long as you didn't start a bunch of new wars, and you're in a bunch of wars currently, then you can just kind of do it. This person says, where do you get your info? CNN? Brother, I assure you, CNN is not going to criticize the Saudi government for what they did in Yemen and the Trump government for supporting the Saudi government, okay? Folks, call in. I see MAGA in the chat. I thought MAGA was all about free speech and discussion and debate. But there's no MAGA coming up. Unfortunately, you guys have been infected with a horrible virus. The pussy virus. And MAGA has become deathly afraid of confrontation, of discussion. And, it's unfortunate. Because I remember there was a time where the right wing tried to frame themselves as, the logical, the rational, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately they dropped that. Stormy Weather says, do you support Hamas or Israel? Stormy Weather, do you think that the only options people have when it comes to the Israel-Palestine discussion is, I love Israel, I love Hamas? Those are the only two options? Come on. I want you to use your brain, Stormy, and think, is there something more than just supporting two terrorist organizations, the IDF and Hamas? Child Vaughn says, why is LA on fire? Let me guess. The Democrats. The Democrats did it. Democrats. They control the weather. They shoot the lasers. Again, call in. There's a number right above my head. What's it? 305-209-5560. Born Critical thinks that the situation in Gaza began on October 7th. Child Vaughn says, DEI mayor. You're saying that the situation in Los Angeles, there was 90-mile-an-hour winds because DEI. Dilly Dilly says, DEI will be gone tomorrow. Child Vaughn says, you look like a DEI hire. Interesting. DEI brought about 100-mile winds and fallen power lines and so on and so forth. DEI is the reason why in the wet season in Los Angeles that the rain wasn't happening for about a year. And definitely not climate change. Kuipo Gray says, what's your gripe with the Trump presidency? Well, I don't like raising costs for regular people. I don't like cutting more taxes for business and the ultra wealthy. I don't like more wars, which he did. Jason says, and maybe they're being sarcastic here, the gods were mad because DEI, not climate change. Definitely. Yes, I made the same joke, yeah. Helmship says, dude, you are the physical embodiment of co-parter. No, I just like debate. I like talking to MAGA. It's fun. I like talking with the other side, and unfortunately there's people that refuse to do so, both Democrats and Republicans. And I'm not one of those people. I actually like to engaging with other people and hearing out ideas and having discussions is a good thing. Lance says, save the fish, then the people in California. So true. Penny for Thought says, DEI didn't deserve it. Born Critical says, damn, he has no clue. Folks, what am I missing? Let's have the conversation. Call in. Unfortunately, MAGA has been weakened and pussified, and they don't like discussion anymore, and it's truly tragic. There used to be a time where right-wingers seemed to at least like to have conversations and debates, but over the years, they just gotten less as they've grown their cult of personality, They just like to be in the cult. They just essentially want prayers to Trump. They'd never want to hear discussion where you disagree with the guy. They don't want to hear policy discussion. They don't even know policy. They just want to pray. Not to God. I pray to God every morning. Okay, I try to pray every morning when I wake up. I don't pray to Trump. And unfortunately, I think that angers MAGA. Child Vaughn says, someone's gonna beat you up. Your keyboard won't save you. Wow. Aren't you? You're so hard, bro. You're so hard. Folks, feel free to actually have a conversation, actually have a debate. Unfortunately, MAGA is afraid, and I think MAGA in general is very afraid. But maybe you can prove me wrong, right? Maybe you can prove me wrong. Number on the screen. What is it? 305-209-5560. Born Critical. You know, it's funny you guys value education. Or you say you at least value education, but you talk to other people in MAGA and they absolutely hate the idea of getting an education. Lance says, I'm Filipino and I'm proud I voted for Donald Trump. Good for you, but again, where's the policy conversation? Dilly Dally might spam a couple catchphrases, but I don't think you would really want to get into the actual conversation here. Where is the debate? MAGA is afraid, so it's unfortunate. This person says, I'm getting the diddler vibes from him too. You know, Donald Trump was friends with Diddy. You know, Donald Trump was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. You know, Donald Trump is a rapist, right? All right. 801 area code, you're on. So true. Unfortunately, MAGA is not bringing their best. Born Critical, you haven't proved anything. Call in and maybe you can prove me wrong. This person says, how many genders are there? I don't know. I don't really care. Personally. As much genders as I personally want. That's kind of how it works. Anything I want becomes reality, folks. I don't know how to tell you this. Yeah, I would say that the judge that, in that case, they called Donald Trump a rapist. They did. You guys support a rapist, and it's unfortunate. You guys support a guy that was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. You guys support a guy that was friends with Diddy, that defended Diddy on national TV, and that openly said that Jeffrey Epstein likes him young after getting off of Jeffrey Epstein's plane. And if you're talking about the CEO of Pedophilia Incorporated, Jeffrey Epstein, and you say he likes him young, I think you know something that you're not telling the media directly. And that's a guy that was best friends with you for decades. There was a taped recording of Jeffrey Epstein during the Trump presidency actually talking about the inner workings of the Trump White House. Colin says, hey bro, we're all sinners and the rapist claim is slander, right? Really? The rapist claim is slander? The judge literally said, yes, what Donald Trump did is colloquially speaking rape. But by New York law, it is just sexual assault. Because I think New York law requires you to insert your penis into somebody without their consent. He just inserted his fingers. But if someone inserted their fingers in your motherfucking butthole, I think you would probably call that disgusting and wrong, right? Born Gurgle says, I told you about how it started in the 7th century with the first man. We're talking about the state of Israel started in 1940s, right? We don't need to go back to the 7th century, okay? Colin says, cause the judge was there. Well, there was a case with a jury of his peers, and the jury of his peers found him guilty. Are we not supposed to believe any single court case because you don't like the result? Diddy didn't. Diddy, I don't even... Who cares what Diddy endorsed? Diddy was literally homies with your guy. And frankly, I would love to see where Diddy endorsed Kamala. Not seeing it. Not saying it. There was a fake photo that you guys were circulating with you edited Diddy and Kamala together because you were upset because there's actual billions and billions and billions of photos of Donald Trump and Diddy together. Is that a lie? You're saying I blurt out lies. You're saying that's a lie, that there's a photo of Diddy and Trump together? Many photos of Diddy and Trump together? Elizabeth, thank you for the subscription. Did I see 2 people subscribe? Did I miss it? Hold on. 1 second. Nanda Gopal, thank you for the subscription. Folks, if you are MAGA and you believe in what you believe in and you think Donald Trump is going to look out for working people, I would love to hear your opinion and we can have that conversation. But unfortunately, I think that you guys are afraid of debate. And so far, yeah, MAGA is not sending their best. If you guys think that Donald Trump is going to look out for regular people and not the oligarchs that made his campaign, I would love to hear why. I would love to have that conversation. But unfortunately, over the years, genuinely, there used to be a time where Republicans tried to pretend to be the facts and logic, Ben Shapiro, blah, blah, blah. Facts don't care about your feelings, and they wanted to have that debate all the time. But over the years, they became more, we're not going to actually make an argument, we're just going to cry and rage and be the SJW stereotype caricature that they made back in 2016 instead of argue against that stereotype, right? So again, let's have that conversation. Frankly, folks, I think I might as well just play Fortnite if you guys are afraid of debate. I love this. Right next to each other. 2 chat messages next to each other. Child Vaughn says, the party of racism hate at it. So Democrats, you're saying. But then right above you is a Trump supporter saying, deport this guy back to India. Literally being racist about a race that I'm not. An ethnicity that I'm not. It's fascinating. But again, you guys aren't the real racists, right? Come on. Born Gurgle says, don't talk about the Middle East when you know nothing about it. You haven't made any convincing arguments. You could call in and try to convince me, but I really doubt you could. This person says, TDS. Brother, I just want to have a debate. If you like the guy, let's have that debate. Unfortunately, it's easier for Trump supporters to cry about the fact that you don't pray to the man that actually discuss the policies that he is pushing and has pushed in his first term. Hold on, I'm trying to plug something in. D-Hoff says an interesting point. I like his policies, but I don't care for his rhetoric. I don't care about his rhetoric. I care exclusively about the policies, but it would be an interesting thing for you to call in because I would actually like to have a policy discussion. Born Critical is demanding, don't talk about the Middle East. Then call in and prove me wrong in the Middle East. You didn't prove anything. You just bitching in the chat and I'm missing your messages because there's multiple people in the chat. Right? It's a shame, you know. Trump supporters used to be a little bolder. Excuse me. And if you definitely want your questions answered, you guys can call in. Because I see a lot of questions being sent in. And I want to discuss, but call in the fucking number. But for now, I think I'm going to do something since you guys are keeping me fucking waiting here. I still got the chat open clearly on the side. But I'm going to open up Fortnite. Again, call in. The audacity, Madison says. Madison, feel free to call in and have a conversation. Defend your shitty choice for president, and it'll be a fun time for everybody, right? Let me just move this down a little bit. We gotta play a little bit of Fortnite as we're waiting. Born Critical, I didn't see where you proved me wrong. Call in and you can try to prove me wrong, buddy, okay? This person says, where's the missing kids? I think they're probably schizo posting. John Adams says they're Filipino. What a shame. You're embarrassing the community, folks. Folks, call in. Have a conversation. Debate. Bruce says, keep laughing, liberal. Tune in tomorrow for your favorite show. Great argument. Great point. You really change your minds. Call in. Have that debate. Have that discussion. Defend your boy. Your boy needs some defense. Because as far as I understand, he is an oligarch, dick-sucking loser motherfucker who's gonna do what his puppet masters tell him to do. He doesn't really believe in much. I mean, you can look at his first term. 83% of the tax cuts went to the top 1%. Deficit exploded. You guys claim to care about the deficit. He promised he was gonna increase infrastructure. He promised he was gonna increase manufacturing. He didn't do either of those things. He was gonna get rid of the bad trade deals. I don't even think a lot of you guys know what the USMCA is, much less the TPP or NAFTA, right? But he did those things. This guy says, keep threatening people. What threats? I don't understand what threats. Chalvon says, source CNN. Frankly, CNN doesn't talk about this shit, my brother. You don't have to get upset at a fact just because a fact is a fact, right? If a fact doesn't go your way, it doesn't fit your narrative, it doesn't make it any less of a fact, right? And you have to be sensitive about it. Person says, start a socialist party, bro. No. I'm fine with the Democratic Party. We're a two-party system. The third party is not going to work in America unless you completely transform the political system. Make it a parliamentary system or make ranked choice voting or something like that. Otherwise, we're stuck with Democrats and Republicans whether we like it or not. And if, let's say, that one of the Democrats or Republican parties went away, we'd be stuck with another duopoly. Two parties. You know what I mean? Folks, if you actually have a point to debate, you have the opportunity to call in and defend, as some of you were calling earlier, your daddy. He called out the lying media and corruption in D.C. Who, Trump? That must have been why he... Yeah. Let's not get the due to any corruption in D.C. Let's get $2 billion from Saudi Arabia instead, you know? Foreign influence is perfectly fine. But also, when it does come to American billionaires and the American oligarchs, he's more than happy to take their money. Don't lie to yourself. This guy's not anti-corruption or anything like that. He has a record you can look at. It's humiliating the amount you guys, like, sort of cuck yourself to a billionaire who doesn't care about you. But no, he cares about us. He cares about us. I swear he cares about us. And Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, he cares about us too, I swear. The billionaires love us, I promise. Come on. Think higher of yourself. Everyone says, both sides are corrupt. Yeah, there's corruption on both sides. I say that literally every stream. There's absolutely corruption on both sides. But one party tends to be better. This person says, show me the proof. Show you. Oh, fuck, I looked away. Damn it. The chat distracted me. Show you the proof for what? The proof that his policies suck? The proof that he's a bitch to the oligarchs? $2 billion went to Jared Kushner from a Saudi investment fund. He took hundreds of millions of dollars through the Live Golf Tour. He took hundreds of millions of dollars through his hotels from Saudi Arabia, among other countries too. And then, surprise, surprise, he lets them do a genocide in Yemen. And when a bill supported by Democrats and Republicans comes against their genocide, against supplying the genocide, he vetoes the bill. That's a direct correlation of what money he's receiving and what action he's doing. In a similar way to when John Fetterman takes pro-Israeli money, he ends up being one of the most pro-Israeli people in Congress. Get the money out, right? I think we can all agree on that. Get the money out. Do you see how he cannot say anything about the mutilation of underage kids? Tell me the number of kids that get bottom surgery, okay? Come on, brother. Not only is it practically impossible for someone to get bottom surgery at such a young age, it's practically impossible for them to get hormones. Now, personally, I would support a social transition for someone that feels like they're trans and they're a kid. You know, just respecting their pronouns and so on and so forth. But I don't think you guys would be for that either. And somehow, some way you would call that mutilation. Right? You are one of them. I don't understand. One of what? A transgender? Oh boy, you're watching the transgender stream then. You're watching the homosexual stream. And therefore you, my friends, are fellow homosexuals. It's crazy. This guy is so lost, it's sickening. John Adams, you're not actually making any arguments. You're fucking watching. You've been watching the whole time. You're a fan, it seems. You can call in, John. Feels gross in here. Yeah, this is the homosexual stream. Everybody watching, all, you know, the many Trump supporters watching, you guys are transgender, it seems. There's no such thing as pronouns. Yeah. There's actually no such things as pronouns. You actually use the pronoun right there in your statement, they. The fuck are you talking about? Trump supporters in the chat, I'm actually genuinely curious. Do you guys think pronouns are real? Are real, right? I want to know. Are pronouns real? Born Critical is really mad at people being genocided. It's crazy. John Adams says he and she. Yes, okay, good. Congratulations. So you are in disagreement with that individual Shadow Dragon earlier that said pronouns are not real. I will give you your flowers. Thank you for recognizing the existence of pronouns. It's actually a very impressive feat. But it's actually more than just he and she. You is a pronoun. Other words are pronouns. Damn. Oh, shit. I cooked that motherfucker. Oh. Thanks for the sword, buddy. But this shotgun's a little slow. I need something a little faster. Why not ask what a successful Trump presidency would deliver, then wait and watch? I wonder if the outcomes would match and/or whether there would be not so subtle shift in the successful parameters. Brother, we have a record we can look at. It's actually not the most complicated thing. His record is shit. What the fuck are these fucking... I thought it was like fucking cherry blossoms. You know, it's kind of interesting. I've seen some Trump supporters be like, why are you being so negative? Why don't you be a little happier about... why don't you be a little nicer to Donald Trump? You don't have to be nice to people with power. You can be critical with people with power. It's actually, I would recommend it, you know? People with power do not need any more dick riding. You know? You can actually criticize power. It's true. Views on men competing with sports. Yeah, men should compete against men. Women should compete against women. But the reason why you care about that is because there is some conservative think tank that has been pushing the culture war as you've been getting robbed, as your wages have been stagnant, and you care about a non-issue, something that doesn't matter. Transgender people are about 1% of the population, but I would bet you feel like they're maybe like 20% based on the media. How about you actually focus on the shit that matters to your life, to your family's life, and not just, oh my god, there's a trans person playing fucking basketball, there's a trans person running on a track. Brother, it's not trans people that are making the housing more expensive. It's not trans people aren't running BlackRock, alright? Trans people are not out here funding the military-industrial complex, buying out your politicians. There are people with power, and unfortunately, one of the big issues with politics is there's a good amount of regular people without any power, really. that refuse to criticize those with the power. And if you do criticize those with power, they treat that as blasphemy, right? Billionaires are wonderful and they're the smartest among us, and how dare you dare criticize a billionaire? How dare you say we should tax them more or anything like that? Folks, you can actually criticize billionaires, and you can look at history and you can see that this is the best they've ever had it. And the best they ever had it, they've seen their pay and their CEO pay and so on and so forth explode over the last 40 or so years, while your pay has been stagnant. Wonder why your pay has been stagnant before you continue bitching and moaning about fucking, oh my gosh, trans people exist. This is definitely an issue that matters. And no, I actually care more about the trade deals, the bad trade deals that, for example, Donald Trump supported. Like the USMCA, which was just NAFTA with provisions from the TPP, which he said was a bad deal. He then supported adding the stuff from the bad deal in his deal. So you tell me where he's at when it comes to the trade deals, because he apparently doesn't fucking know either. Well, he knows. He wants to make his billionaire friends happy, even at your expense. And I don't want you to be losing money to make Donald Trump's billionaire friends happy. Okay? I want you to have more money in your fucking pocket. And unfortunately, a lot of you guys don't want that. And maybe I can, put it up to, a lack of class consciousness, a bit of ignorance, and so on and so forth. But, I can only have so much sympathy particularly when the people in the Maga cult specifically refuse to look at those with power with a critical lens. Instead, they are the most amazing among us, and so on and so forth, right? He sounds like a 12-year-old who thinks he sounds like a 17-year-old. Brother, I'm talking about your wallet and your family's future. Okay? Aren't you fucking... I don't remember if it was you or somebody else that said you're 40, and you were calling Donald Trump daddy. You're calling a billionaire oligarch daddy who sells out to even richer billionaire oligarchs. You don't actually have a policy view. You can't defend it. That's why you're not calling in. That's why you've been watching. And you can't address the fact that the middle class is being screwed, and you don't give a fuck. The middle class is shrinking. People are dying when they have lack of health insurance, right? 68,000 people every single year, according to some studies. But you don't care. The health insurance CEOs, they're perfectly fine, wonderful people, and they should be able to deny cancer treatment from people. They should be able to make it so that they can not cover anesthesia, so people have to pay for anesthetics out of their own pocket. Right? That's your priorities. That's your beliefs. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that you don't give a fuck about your own family. Who's been ruining this country? David Hayes says. The billionaire class, the oligarchs, have been dominating our politics, have been dominating our way of life, and they are criminals. And they disgust me, honestly. Damn, I actually wrecked that motherfucker. Shit. He didn't land a single shot on me. Shout out to you, though. Nobody is dying because of lack of health insurance. Yeah, I think you should go fuck yourself, honestly. Please, defend the billionaires more. Defend the CEOs more. Yes, they should deny more people. United Healthcare denying the highest among any of its competitors is actually a really good thing and really fair. It's actually good. They should be able to deny more, yes. You guys have actual fucking peasant brain, and it's fucking disgusting. This is, we wonder, we look at times in history like serfdom, and we think, why did the people let themselves live that way? Essentially being slaves, indentured servants, and so on and so forth, to these fucking bullshit artist kings that claimed they were ruling because of some kind of divine intervention. But they're the 500th king in the Holy Roman Empire that is ruling because of divine intervention. You wonder how people are able to live like that. And then you see modern day conservatives, they defend these billionaires who they don't know and who don't give a fuck about them, like they are family, And, all I want to say is get the dick out of your fucking ass and actually stand up for yourself and stand up for your economic rights. Get in a fucking union. Maybe your Republican legislators made it actually completely impossible to unionize your workplace, and that's unfortunate. But, yeah, I don't know. Struggle. The American Revolution happened. People had to go through tougher shit to get some rights. Right? Bro, you sound salty because you don't have any money. Yes, yes, the billionaires. Yes, let the fucking 99% fight amongst themselves. That's actually a perfect way of doing things. The billionaires, let the billionaires get away with shit. They actually deserve all the money because they're so good. And they're better than you, actually. I wish we still live in the Wild West. I know what I'd do. What would you do? Shit in a fucking hole? You don't want to live in the Wild West. You wouldn't do shit, bro. You're a 21st century male. You're not out here like fucking, oh, I need to go to the wild country. You can go on a camping trip today. You can go live in fucking Alaska, you know? Go to Alaska, go to the Alaskan wild and survive. Put your body to the test. Pull some Teddy Roosevelt type shit. You can do that in the 21st century. You don't need to be in the Wild West. But you know what? I have a feeling you're probably not going to enjoy being in a fucking snow cave and jerking off alone. This guy doesn't understand how this economy works. The billionaires invest in the country and employ the people. Yes, pray to the billionaires. Pray to the billionaires. Elon Musk, give me more crumbs, my lord. My lord. Thank you for blessing me with the rising of the sun, Elon Musk. This is fucking pathetic. You're fucking pathetic, bro. I'm being mean. I don't mean to be a dick to you, right? But like, holy fuck, grow a fucking pair of balls. The Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates, they didn't fucking make you. They aren't fucking family to you. You talk about them like they're family. You stand up for them like motherfuckers stand up for family. Holy fuck, dude. So I want to give you $1 million. Will you take it? What the fuck are you talking about? Is this like some kind of, oh man, yeah, billionaires are actually good because they could give you $1 million. I want to tax the fuck out of you if you have $1 million. You should see your taxes go up if you're part of that 1%. Especially if you're part of that 0.1%, I want to see your taxes go up. I don't need personal money from any motherfucker, alright? What we need to see is taxes raised in this country so there aren't any billionaires. And I think they'll perfectly be fine with $999 million to their name, personally. We used to have marginal tax rates of 90% in this country. That's when this country was great. Y'all say, make America great again. And y'all never give your specifics. Y'all just want the racial politics of the past. Y'all don't want the economic politics. Because you guys don't actually care. You guys don't actually care about the future, the country, patriotism, and so on and so forth. Because you don't mind being fucking looted and robbed by these billionaire pricks. And unfortunately, it seems like with this theme specifically, maybe it's because it's late, you guys don't even want to defend your shitty point of view. You guys want to cry about it in the chat, and I'm missing a lot of your shit because I'm playing Fortnite, you know what I'm saying? Real shit. But how the fuck did that happen? That's crazy. Alright. David Hayes says, repeal income tax. I think you don't live in reality. Oh, how do you fund the government? Well, actually, we should just not fund anything. What if we got rid of all the programs that keep people out of poverty and keep people alive? You know, fuck them, they're leeches, yeah. That's you. You know, white folks take up the most in welfare, and frankly, I don't mind at all. I want poor people, no matter the race, to be able to live. Social Security keeps the elderly out of poverty. That's a good thing. Medicare and Medicaid give people their health care. That's a good thing. But those are things you'd be willing to cut. But well, maybe, would you ever cut the military budget? I really doubt it. Actually, I kind of have to piss soon, so I'm going to finish stream relatively soon. So I'm going to get off of Fortnite, but I'm going to respond to the chat for now a little bit longer. Read chat. Why are liberals always so negative? Curtis, oh my gosh, please be nicer to the billionaires. Fuck off. Yeah, I'm negative. I don't give a fuck about being nice to the billionaires, right? I don't give a fuck about being polite to the billionaires. What is this shit? Be nicer to the billionaires. They actually do love us. They care about us. You are legitimately the reason why serfdom was able to survive. People like you for centuries and centuries and centuries, because there's certain people that looked at the fucking kings and lords over them, giving them orders, controlling their lives. And people like you said, well, you guys are actually my heroes. Born Critical says he's fighting capitalism. The funny thing is, I'm not proposing anything outside of capitalism, dog. I want a capitalism that works. I want a capitalism that's based around Keynesian economics. I want a capitalism that's based around the economics that won us the Cold War, that Franklin Roosevelt pushed, that John F. Kennedy pushed. You guys are the ones that are demanding we do some shit that doesn't work. If you guys think anything I said was fucking socialist, you just need to read up, not even fucking political theory, honestly, just basic definitions. Basic definitions. But yet you're advertising Fortnite. Are you okay? What is the point here? What is the contradiction here? I have a Fortnite code, therefore I cannot be critical of the system that exists? I have a Fortnite code, therefore I have to pray to the billionaires? John Adams says capitalism is why billionaires are doing what they are, ding dong. Yeah, you know, we used to be a country where there was marginal tax rates of 90%. I don't even think you guys know what fucking billionaires are, or excuse me, marginal tax rates are. So I don't even think that even computes in your fucking head. Dude, you said we should have billionaires. Yes, we should tax them so that they don't fucking exist. They can be 999 millionaires and it'll be perfectly fucking fine. Okay? Wayne Hitchcock says putting 4 to 5 syllables in a word doesn't make you smart. You have to make sense. Frankly, this makes perfect sense, and the fact that you can't understand it says more about you than anything. Freedom says, you're just a sad dude not happy with your choices, and that's what led him to a lower tier society. Frankly, I'm very happy with many of the choices that I've made and the direction things are going. I'm streaming for fun. Again, Born Critical says, you're fighting capitalism by playing Fortnite live on YouTube. I'm not against capitalism. Give me the definitions of these terms, or at least you need to read up. Blame others and make them pay, because you do nothing. They're paying more in taxes. Do you not understand how the tax works? You make more money, you pay more. Yes, they pay more because they have taken all the wealth for themselves. If you had your wages grow 80%, and the regular folks have had their wages grow 18%, yes, you have a total sum of more money, so you're gonna pay more. But when it comes to percentage of their wealth, they're paying less than what they used to. Simple as that. And you know, honestly, it's unfortunate. It's real unfortunate that many of you are willing to sell out your country to make a couple billionaires happy. But so be it. Unfortunately, you guys also couldn't debate it. You guys had to bitch about it in the chat, but you guys couldn't come up and debate. But my laundry is done. So, this person says, if you made millions off gaming, should we take more than half for you? I mean, sure. If I make above a certain amount of money, let's say there's a marginal tax rate of 90%, then yes, you take that money above a certain percent. Duh. I bet these Maga supporters are buying Trump's Memo coin. Watch the rug pull. Bobby. I don't know how to tell you this, brother, but that coin I think is already going down. Alright, hold on. Someone's calling in. Alright? They stopped calling. I'm gonna call him back. Because I want at least one debate from one of you MAGA people. $252. Pick up. Pick up, bitch. Pick up. They're not gonna pick up. They called, but they didn't want to fucking, commit. Red says, your laundry isn't clean. Who are you trying to impress? Apparently I have to lie about laundry. 252 area code. You called?
with Waldy Construction LLC and Waldy's Automotive.
Okay, somebody called me from their business phone. I wouldn't personally make calls into a radio show or anything like that based on my business phone or with my business phone, you know. But that's just me. 252 area code. You should have stuck around and we could have had an interesting conversation. Again, yeah, unfortunately, it seems that MAGA is proving that they worship the billionaires, and it's not a surprise. But hopefully you guys develop a little bit more class consciousness. And, you know, you fight for your own material interest at least. Right? That's all. That's literally all I have to tell a lot of you. Guys, fight for your own material interest. Hello, you're on.
Hey, let's get this debate going.
Yeah, let's make this pretty quick.
Asinine things. Where do you want to start?
Where do you want to start?
All right, let's start with your last topic, which was taxation, for example, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to tax people at a certain rate, but all taxation at this point is unconstitutional because of all the waste at the federal level and at the state level. So how are you
okay, well that's an interesting point. That's an interesting point. So all taxation is unconstitutional.
Well,
hold on. Hold on.
Republican or Democrat. I've
yeah, no,
never
that's
voted
cool.
ever.
That's cool.
Okay?
That's cool. So get rid of all taxation. That's your position?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying all taxation at this point.
Okay, so they're unconstitutional. So your claim is that it's unconstitutional, but then you're also supportive of it existing.
That's just one point I'm making. Then we'll get to Medicare and
well,
Medicaid.
Hold on. Let's stick around with that. Hold on.
Years.
Let's stick around for that. Let's stick around one point at a time. You made the claim that all taxation is unconstitutional. I asked you specifically, so you want to get rid of it. So you say no, you want to keep it. So you're claiming something is unconstitutional, but you're in support of it.
Should we be paying $100,000 for a military toilet?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
Should we be paying $500,000 for them to put a half-mile stretch of asphalt down when it costs $10,000 to do it?
No. I'm fine with more efficiency.
Great.
Yeah.
Yep. So we can't even have the conversation that you want to. We can't run down that rabbit hole until we fix that, first and foremost.
Can't have what conversation? That we should have tax rates similar to the point that we saw the greatest expansion of the middle class we ever seen in this country?
But that hasn't happened since Reagan.
You think the middle class was expanding because of actions Reagan did?
I think that our country, post-World War II, recovering from Vietnam,
what economic ideology did Reagan push?
Are you kidding me? You don't know history if you don't know that.
Well, I'm asking you if you know. What economic ideology did he push?
He pushed economic freedom in this country. He allowed small business growth.
Neoliberalism. Wait. Let's be clear about it. Let's just define our terms real quick. Hold on. Hold on. He pushed for neoliberal economics. You know what I mean? Trickle down.
No,
yes. You don't think that? You don't think?
Don't throw out some.
Wait. You don't think that Ronald Reagan was a neoliberal?
Not at all.
So what does neoliberalism mean?
Oh, good grief, man. Let's not get
because we're gonna. Yeah. Wait, hold on. Wait, what does it mean? Because he is the neoliberal. Him and Margaret Thatcher. So what does neoliberalism mean?
Post-modern conservative in almost all of his policies across the board.
So hold on. You're claiming he's not a neoliberal. What does neoliberalism mean to you?
Anyways, so
what does neoliberalism mean?
Yeah, let's
since you're saying that he's not. Yeah, no, because definitions are a good place to find a basis of the conversation.
Neoliberalism at its finest, which was COVID.
That's not what neoliberalism means. Can you please define what neoliberalism is? So neoliberalism means you'd shut down the country? That's what neoliberalism means?
That's a great example of it.
No, neoliberalism is an economic ideology about reform policies like eliminating price controls, deregulating capital markets, lowering the trade barriers, reducing spending through privatization and austerity and so on and so forth. Margaret Thatcher pushed it in the UK. Ronald Reagan pushed it in the United States. Think of it as deregulation, cutting taxes, and hoping that it trickles down. That is what the term neoliberalism means.
4 voices.
All right?
I can't hear anything.
Okay, so I'm going to repeat myself. Neoliberalism means deregulation and cutting taxes, eliminating price controls, deregulating capital markets, lowering trade
I'm getting
barriers.
Two different voices here.
Maybe you have the stream pulled up, but I recommend exiting the stream.
I closed it out, obviously.
Okay, then feel free to call back, okay? Maybe then I'll fix it. This is the problem here, folks. You guys hear the word liberal and you guys think bad. When I'm literally describing exactly what he's describing. Ronald Reagan believed in deregulation, privatization, austerity, and so on and so forth. These are things that he's advocating for. He was literally advocating for cutting the social safety net and cutting taxes, and that's the method that you do it, by cutting the social safety net. But then when I'm describing to him his own ideology, he doesn't like the fact that his ideology has the word liberal in it. Have you guys ever heard the word neoliberalism? You conservatives in the chat? He doesn't know what it means. He just parrots whatever his middle school friends tell him. Because you're acting like the rest of them. Rage quit. Good, stop. Good talking. Stop being hater. Ronald Reagan told us not to trust any of them. People in chat are mad that he's right. Yeah, no, it's unfortunate. It's a simple definition. He said, no, Ronald Reagan was not a neoliberal. And then he said, neoliberalism is when you close economies or something. It's COVID. Neoliberalism is a very common term that's real fucking easy to look up. I don't have to look it up. I just want to read him the definition directly. But simply, it is just deregulation. It is austerity and so on and so forth. The best examples of it are Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher. And it has infected the politics from Democrats to Republicans. And the thing is, a lot of you guys, you Trump supporters particularly, don't really know that because you guys don't even know the history of your own country. And you guys don't know how you're being screwed. Born critical. I'm not debating the term liberalism. Okay? Neoliberalism. It's a specific term. Cookie says, I'm talking about the caller, lol. Yeah. He didn't know, and he was acting like he couldn't hear you, but he probably was Googling. Yeah, that's true. Yes, Mason, you've only been screwed the last 4 years. Don't ever look at history. Don't ever think critically about this country. Just think about partisan politics. Partisan politics is only it. You're telling us we don't know when you're Googling the shit. Brother, even if I had to Google the meaning of neoliberalism, it's perfectly fine to look shit up, to understand shit, to research shit, right? You guys are claiming that Ronald Reagan was not a neoliberal when he was, by definition, a neoliberal. But you guys hear the word liberal, and you get triggered by it. This person here says, oh, Gilo, if you want to debate the word neoliberalism, you have to debate the word liberalism. Clown. No. If you want to talk about social liberalism, you will talk about social liberalism. If you want to talk about classical liberalism, you can talk about classical liberalism. If you want to talk about neoliberalism, you're specifically talking about the ideology of neoliberalism. If you want to talk about fascism, you're talking about fascism. If you want to talk about socialism, you're talking about socialism. These are simple words with simple definitions that's real easy to look up, bro. It's real easy. But unfortunately, the caller heard the word liberal and thought, oh no, that's the bad guys. That's the guys I don't like. Even if it's literally, when you read out the definition, it's just the ideology he supports. But you know what? Shout out to him for actually having the balls to come on. I can respect that. Curtis says Trump wants to deregulate. Precisely, Curtis. Let's build on this together. So if neoliberalism is deregulation, austerity, cutting taxes, privatization, and so on and so forth, And Donald Trump supports those things, and Donald Trump supports neoliberalism. Ronald Reagan supported those things, so Ronald Reagan supported neoliberalism. Bill Clinton as well. And I think Bush and Obama didn't really break the mold for neoliberalism. It's a simple history of our country. From about the 1930s to maybe the 1970s. The 1970s was kind of the gray area. We had Keynesian economics, the post-war economic miracle. We saw the greatest expansion of the middle class, right? And that was under New Deal Keynesian economics. Having more stable boom and bust cycles and investing directly in America through infrastructure programs like the New Deal and so on and so forth. Having a strong social safety net. When Ronald Reagan came in, he popularized neoliberalism, austerity, privatization, deregulation, cutting taxes, and so on and so forth. All these things that you guys believe, but you guys want to get caught up in, oh my gosh, the word hash liberal. Why would it be wrong to Google to make a point? You guys are just being extra. Yeah, you know, the MAGA people are very extra. Lamau would do no damn good. Trump is awesome. That's how you get things done. Trump's first term, he cut the red tape, and that's a good thing. Trump cut taxes for the rich while increasing spending. He increased the deficit and therefore the debt. You guys seem to care or claim to care about the debt and the deficit until the Republican president explodes it. We had a surplus under Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton's not my favorite president, but that's objectively true. Then we saw under George W. Bush, he decided to cut taxes while starting a bunch of wars, therefore increasing spending, increasing the deficit, and increasing the debt. Obama had to increase deficit spending for the first year, and for 6 years going forward, he cut, pretty much to pre-Obama levels. I think the last year there was a slight increase, but it was slight, not very influential. And under Trump, we saw the deficit increase year after year after year after year. And, you know, apparently you guys care about that stuff. So, yeah. Either way, though, while I would like to continue streaming, I gotta do some shit. So I'm gonna head out. This person says, what do you think Kamala is going to do to help you? Please answer. Kamala's not going to be President Shannon. I don't know why you are focused on Kamala, but if we do want to talk about Kamala's policies, I'll talk briefly. I think increasing the housing supply, 3 million new homes, basic supply and demand would say that would lower price. I think that's a good thing. Having a National Labor Relations Board that lets you unionize, that's a good thing. Having an FTC that breaks up the big companies and prevents monopolies and mergers and so on and so forth is a good thing. Oh, a $10 donation. Let's see here. Read this to MAGA. History repeats itself. Civil War era. How the rich whites tricked the poor whites to fight the war for them, while the rich bought their way out of fighting. It's happening today. That is a good point, my friend. The rich people love to take advantage of you folks. Hold on. I'm going to put you on hold just for a second. That is a good point. Rich people will always be able to take advantage of, unfortunately, a good amount of poor people that refuse to look at those with power when thinking of who to blame. They look at those at the bottom with them. All right. Unknown, hello.
Yep, that's my fault. I had to go grab another whiskey because you're a fairly intelligent fellow. I wanted to make sure I was getting my facts straight. So it's been 20 years since I've referenced any of this neoliberal, college talking point. So I wanted to double check, and it was actually, depending on what source that you reference, 5 to 6 years prior to Reagan's administration that the term neoliberal was ever coined, and it was used as a weapon by the Democrats to try to win the next election post-Reagan.
So it was used as a weapon by the Democrats. It was created before Reagan, and it was used to win the election after Reagan, even though the Democrats lost the election after Reagan. George H.W. Bush won. Yeah.
So it was their attempt.
So you're saying that neoliberalism
term
is exclusively just a way to attack Reagan and not just a description of an economic and political philosophy?
It is an economic and political philosophy, but at the time it was used against Reagan as an attempt to, weaponize policy choices by that administration in an attempt to win the next election by the Democrats. Now, that's
And
not what happened
you're claiming it was
historically.
made 6 years before Reagan?
That's correct, during the Carter administration, and I
It says
several...
well, what? Okay, here's the thing with Carter. He was sort of the Democrats' transition into neoliberalism, not fully. He was the first Democrat since FDR to not have like some major economic reforms that he wanted to get done. FDR, JFK, Lyndon Johnson all had plans like that. Carter didn't. That's why the term neoliberalism is also associated to him. But it was Reagan and Thatcher that really popularized it. And the term originated from European scholars in the 1930s, not 6 years before Reagan.
Right. It was used initially pre-World War II, brought up again during Carter, and then weaponized during Reagan. And
it's not really
I'm no
weaponized.
fan
It's just a description of his policies.
But the problem is that society is so ignorant and naive that when, as you pointed out, when they hear the word liberal and they're on the Republican side, or you hear MAGA or anything related to any of the Republican policy, the Democrats flip out on that side. That's the problem with the country. Is both sides are so polarized that they hear a single word and lose their mind.
Yeah. Well, I would hope that they could just look up the word and not lose their mind. I understand that some people in MAGA
that
do.
That doesn't happen. They're too busy watching TikTok videos, man.
Of course. But that's why I just... but using it as an objective descriptor, because that's what it is. It's just another way of saying austerity, but also most Americans probably don't use the word austerity in typical language.
Most Americans don't even know what the word austerity means.
Exactly.
It's the problem that we have these days. Most Americans, if you look at the statistic, something, and I'm probably going to get the exact number wrong, but it's about 75% of high school kids can't read or write at like a 6th grade level anymore.
I think it's not just
people to get into society and vote.
It's not just high school kids. I think in general, the population is something like that. Most people are at a 6th grade level of literacy.
So what are we doing? We have a government that's buying $100,000 toilets. Our kids can't read and write, and then the rest of the world is laughing at us.
Again, people can read and write. Again, it's just 6th grade literacy. It's like, for example, if someone were to hear the word neoliberalism and instead of like looking up the definition, they hear the word liberal and they're like, no, that's bad, right? That's an example. Like people that are like that can still read and write and they can still function, right? But they don't like to look at the context clues,
But are we functioning like Germany, for example, or the UK, or Spain? I mean, some of these countries, they demand better of their populace.
Hold on, I'm gonna put someone on hold real quick.
6-8.
I'm gonna put you on hold. Oh, seems like you're not there. Okay. All right. Yeah, you were comparing the United States to Germany. I think that's a fair point. I think we should strive to always be the best. That's why, for example, I look at like when it comes to the EV market or the solar market, and I see China dominating. It's embarrassing. So I agree. There's areas where we need to invest in and really work harder in.
Well, hold on. Let me discuss that with you. Okay, I work for Tesla. Okay. All right. So there's some things that you may not understand about the private side of the industry. All of this talk about we need to switch over to solar, we need to switch over to EV. We are buying all of those products.
Hold on, I'm gonna put someone on hold real quick. I'm gonna put you on hold and pull you up next, okay?
Hello.
Alright, you were saying?
We are buying those products wholesale as cheap as we possibly can. And what I'm referring to is nickel, cadmium, lithium, silver. We are getting those from slave camps in Africa and wholesale from China. How is that going to benefit the United States?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if we could do some mining projects in the United States.
Can you hear me now?
Hello? Hello?
Speak up a little bit.
Oh, did the last call hang up?
Speak up. I can't hear you.
Okay, I think you're just doing a voice, sir. So, to the last caller, I don't know what happened there. The call just dropped. If you want to call back, we can call back since you've been waiting a little bit. Don't know what happened there. Last caller. I don't know what happened. You had an unknown number, so I cannot call you back. You have to call in again yourself. And we can continue that conversation. You were making an interesting point about the EV market. I'm going to give you a bit of time to call back in. I would call you back directly, but your number is unknown, so I cannot do that. To the last caller, I will let you come back in, but you need to call in because I think that you were an unknown number, so I cannot call you back. If that's the case, I might have to end stream soon. Well, I do want to end stream soon anyway, but I want to give that last caller a bit of time before I head out. Okay, I don't know if this is them or another person. Is this the person I was talking to earlier or not? Hello? 702. Distill a local bar. I don't know how you name yourself on Google Voice, but that's impressive. Hello?
Hello? How you doing?
Did you call in?
Hello? Hello?
Hello? Okay. For the last caller, I will let you go. I will give you a few more minutes to come back in. And we can have that conversation. But if you don't come back, we're going to end the stream a little bit sooner. Okay? I'll go play a bit of a song as we wait. What song to play though? That's the real question. Hold up. That's not the same caller. That's the guy that called last. I think it might be an accident. Seems like it's a bar that called. I don't think a bar is trying to call into a YouTube stream. Potentially. Very unlikely. To the unknown caller, you can call back in. But I'm going to give you a few moments before I head out. Why not actual debate about politics and now about someone looks to boom? I see. One YouTube video you'll never see is helping around the house. Here's another one. Him paying the bills. Wow, savage. You're watching the stream at 3 a.m., my friend. I don't think you're really doing much for your family either. I heard MAGA supporters talk about how the ACA was good. Hello, you're calling again? Hello?
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm sorry?
Distill?
Yeah, is this an accident that you're calling?
No, you called me.
I did not call you, sir. But thank you for your time. I guess somebody is calling in from their work phone. Folks, what I've seen here in this stream has confirmed to me, as it does all the time, confirms my biases. Alright, we'll give one more call, okay? One more call. 562. What's on your mind? 562. 562. Going once. Going twice. Are you there? I'll call you back, alright? MAGA is apparently really struggling to make a phone call. Hello, again? Hello? Nobody's saying anything. I'll call back the last person to call. We'll see what happens. "562 area code, you called?" 562 area code. You called? I don't think you want to have a debate, it seems. How unfortunate. Anyway. MAGA has failed to have a conversation. Unfortunately, the last person that did seem to want to have a conversation didn't stick around. But I think, it's kind of interesting, I think that was the same guy that claimed that Reagan was not a neoliberal.
Mingles
Hello?
as well. I may help you.
I think this might be an accident. I don't know why. Did you call me?
No.
Okay, I think someone's pranking you, my friend. My bad.
You're all good, brother. Have a good night.
So one of y'all are bothering local business? Is that the MAGA thing now? Bother local business? Well, it's unfortunate, but I think that's a sign for me that it's time to go to bed. Because none of you want to have a productive conversation where you defend your ideas, because your ideas are no longer defendable. And it's unfortunate, folks. If you want to subscribe, hit that subscription right now. Leave that like, all that stuff. Unfortunately, MAGA has proven that they are... Hold up. Is this the guy from earlier?
Yeah, it is. I messed up once earlier, and then I lost you on the second one. So it is what it is. Where should we pick back up? My point was that you were indicating, you wish we could open some mining, try to develop the supply chain within the boundaries of the United States. But that's
in general
not going to happen.
We don't like, there are some materials that we just don't really have in this country. That's why we have to do the foreign trade, and that's perfectly understandable.
So there's two prongs to that attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we purchase it from outside of the boundaries of the United States, we're not using the resources that are limited within our boundaries. If we develop resources within the boundaries of our country, then we have more economic success, we have more liberty with what we can do with the products, but we are then using those limited resources that can only be exposed once.
Mm-hmm.
And from what's happened from the past 40 years, the policy continues to be, whether it be elected Democrats or elected Republicans, that we purchase as much as we can from as far away as we can for as cheap as we can, and never use the resources that we have on hand. Mm-hmm. And I believe that's for the security of the nation at this point.
That's not good for the security of the nation, right? You're saying?
Say that again?
You're saying, like, that's not good for the security of the nation?
It's not good for the security of the nation to use any resource that we have within the boundaries of our country at any point.
Oh, wait.
We want to use anything else that's available throughout the rest of the world. But
wait, hold on. That's a really interesting perspective. So you're saying that you would prefer to not use resources from inside the country. You want to use resources from outside the country for, let's say, like some American manufacturing?
I think that the entire system is fucked up. I don't want us to be using resources anywhere in the world because we only have one planet. The problem is that people don't give a crap about what's happening with the environment, with our atmosphere, with water pollution. No one actually cares. Mm-hmm. The only thing that is important at the end of the day is a bottom line, the red and the black. Yeah. And the people in control, including my boss, which hopefully they don't hear this recording, but
don't worry, you're unknown on my end, so I don't even know your area code, so you're good.
I had to do that intentionally. All he's concerned with is shooting rockets into space and flying back and forth 10 times a day in private helicopters, and meanwhile we're stripping as much out of China and Africa as we possibly can, and then trying to tell the rest of the world that the future is robot vehicles driving around on batteries. And I would like to point, it's a slight tangent, but one of the other factors to consider is I'm closest to one of the largest wind farms in the entire on the entire planet. Yeah. Okay. Those independent wind generators are good for 5 years, and then they generate 20 tons plus of materials that have to be stripped down. The entire thing has to be rebuilt. There are thousands of acres of windmills that are simply taken apart and thrown in a field to deteriorate because we don't have any way to recycle or reuse any of that material.
Well, my understanding is when I did research on this that there are wind farm and solar recycling programs, and I do believe that the life cycle is longer than 5 years, and the technology has changed in the last decade because these are that's stuff I've heard since last decade, and the technology has changed greatly, particularly with solar. Solar has really evolved to the point I think that the Chinese solar market has begun generating as much energy as the entire British market, not just British solar, not just British wind, but the entire British energy market. So there's been a massive change in that.
And that's absolutely correct. But do you know the largest use for wind energy globally? Mm-hmm. Do you know what that's for? It's to pump oil and natural gas.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a connection, but in general, to pump oil and natural gas, you need electricity in that process for like the whole, even just processing it and moving it and so on and so forth. So yes, wind energy and solar energy and so on just go to our overall energy, and if our energy is going into that, then yes. But I think over time we should try our best to move away from dependency on oil, and part of that is by going to the alternatives: wind, solar, and even nuclear.
Nuclear is an option. Solar is an option, but we're not pursuing those. The Trump administration is going to be bound and determined to figure out the most efficient way to get oil and natural gas back out of our Earth in the United States, while simultaneously continuing to strip mine African resources and buying whatever we can from China.
Yeah.
Now what I'm referring to with wind energy, if you're familiar with the Permian Basin and the surrounding areas of Oklahoma and New Mexico, and then western Texas, the wind farms are actually installed with the sole purpose not to add or enhance residential or commercial energy consumption needs. They are installed with the sole purpose of running pumps, rigs, and lighting and associated equipment for the oil and natural gas industry. They have no connection, no tie at all whatsoever to any residential or commercial demand.
Yeah, well, in general, I would rather most of our energy processes focus on our residential business, our grid, and so on and so forth, and less on the pumps. So I agree with you. I'm not a big fan of the constant oil drilling and so on and so forth.
So the problem is that everyone wants to fight for, we need batteries, we need natural gas, we need oil, we need nuclear, right? Mm-hmm. The solution until we have a technological advance as a species has to be a portion of all of these methods.
No, I agree.
Okay?
I agree. We're not going to get rid of oil and coal like tomorro's. Let's say, and of course we're not going to, because we have Donald Trump as president, so he's not going to, right? But if we had a president that wants to, it's not going to happen just in the next week.
So let me explain. My wife and I both drive 40-year-old diesel pickups that run not on diesel. We use recycled oil, brake fluid, transmission fluid, and a splash of regular gasoline, okay? Mm-hmm. If any of these politicians are interested in anything other than a bottom line, if they wanted to save the planet, every single opportunity, such as recycling old chemicals that end up just going into a landfill, would be on the table. Nobody in the most liberal, conservative places on the planet, Canada, for example, let's say France, for example, none of these countries are utilizing resources that are available. We're simply throwing them into landfills.
Yeah. I agree with you. Point, I think that many of our politicians are interested in the bottom line, in making money. But, some of the examples that you did bring up, though, like France gets majority of its energy produced by nuclear. And there is a lot of movement.
Natural gas from Russia, though.
They do pump it. Well, I think that's much more of a German thing. But I'm sure they still they obviously still do get fossil fuels, and they pump it in from Russia and so on and so forth. I think a lot of Europe has more transition to U.S. natural gas in more recent years because of the war. But when it comes to their own production goals, France has overwhelmingly went the nuclear direction. And in general, what we're seeing when it comes to solar market and the EV market is, I think, like 50-something% of all new cars bought in China were EVs. And like you said, there's concerns with battery production and so on and so forth. There's always going to be a concern with production, but as long as we live on this earth, we're going to have to produce, right? But I think it would be better.
What are we going to do every 5 to 8 years when you have to renew that battery with an entirely new battery platform? That's actually
I don't
what
know.
I do.
I'm not 100% sure if it's 5 to 8 years, but in general, the technology can improve, and I would put money into supporting research and development if I was the government.
Yeah, let me give you some insight. I actually take the chemicals from China, turn them into a battery, put them into the frame of every single Tesla that you could possibly want to buy. Doesn't matter what platform, okay? And we, as a company, understand that within 5 years, those batteries may fail. And it can be from environmental, it can be from improper consumer usage and improper charging protocols because people don't follow instructions. Everyone thinks that this is a green energy, but it's not. These materials are
I'm looking it up right now. I'm looking it up right now. It says the average lifespan of a lithium-ion EV battery is about 10 to 20 years. And there's currently not a lot of EV batteries being recycled right now simply because a lot of them aren't needing to be recycled at this moment. But there is processes towards recycling these EV batteries.
So let me just give you one bullet point. If someone is telling you something is going to last 10 years, and in the real world, should we expect half of that, right? That's a marketing ploy, okay? And I hate to say that. This is the industry that funds my children's food, right? It's not working like that. We are trying... you would not believe the facility that I work in. There's more robotics and engineering and development than you could possibly imagine. It looks like NASA. Okay? Yeah. But we are not to the point of 10 to 20 years. And if it is, it's got a trickle left in those cells. You have to understand that cold weather, so half of our nation is above what we consider the termination parallel, meaning if you live north of, I can't say exactly where, but if you live north of a certain parallel, your battery life is reduced by 50%, and we cannot tell the consumers that because then they're not going to buy the automobile.
Oh, you're saying if they live in harsh cold?
Absolutely. Any exposure to salt water, corrosion, cold weather, the units are not able to charge past 85%.
So I do see here that they're based on, they say here that the battery packs for electric vehicles have a service lifetime about, this is the Department of Energy here, research, and this is a car website, not exactly exclusively EVs only website or charging website, right? But they're saying it's about 12 to 15 years in moderate climates, and a service between 8 to 12 years if used in more extreme conditions. In general, all passenger vehicles in the U.S. are currently, they have a lifespan of at least 12 and a half years old, so EVs are kind of on par with the standard gas vehicle.
Let me give you the logic behind that, okay? Those studies were done at maximized, optimized conditions. What none of those studies factored in was human error, deficiencies in infrastructure, meaning, yes, you've paid to have a charger installed, but it was not done properly, or the voltage, the amperage was not done within the recommended boundaries of the automobile manufacturer specs. So what happens is they did not account for the 30 to... I don't want to get extreme. I would say 30
I'm sure people can fuck up their cars, right? People can mistreat it, and then it lowers the lifespan. But again,
like you
else, said,
you don't change your oil, or you don't put an air filter. Or
this is based on This is based on an EV related source, so obviously these are people into EVs, right? So there's a little bit of a bias there, right? But they say recycling can cover up to 95% of the raw materials in batteries, which then could be made into new batteries. And so yes, batteries can be recycled. Batteries do have a similar lifespan to regular, cars. I don't think that for whatever pros and cons, like for the cons, I don't think that means we have to not try to be part of that market and innovate in that market. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying we shouldn't pursue it, but let me give you another, just a talking point so that you have it in your knowledge base. It is more efficient for us to retrieve the batteries that are thrown away in major metropolitan areas. We'll say Detroit, Chicago, Houston, LA, from their landfills. It is more industrious as a society to dig that up and recycle it and put that back into the pipeline for manufacturing than it is for us to go and get it from Africa. And that's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
That's what
if we can get the stuff from here through like that, what you were just describing, I'd be completely down for that over immediately going to getting the raw material from somewhere else, right?
So how do you and I, as people that give a shit, make that happen? I would like to ask you that, because you have a lot of like just grenades flying out on opinions, right? And you were pointing out that people on the right, and again, I've never voted in my life. Okay, I'm 50 years old. I've never voted. Because I don't believe in the integrity of the system. I think the entire thing is flawed, and that's neither here nor there. But how do you and I, as a younger guy, you're probably what, 28 maybe? And I'm 50 years old. How do we make that happen? That's what I want to ask you, since you have an on-air personality.
Yeah, well, I recognize that us as individuals, right, we're not the decision makers for our major parties. Like, they're not going to be like, well, what is this gentleman from the unknown phone number, or Nathan, what are they saying, right? But I think in general, I would encourage individuals to get involved in politics, and not like this sort of broad get involved. I mean, literally get involved in your local politics. Try to push policies that'll help people. You know what I mean?
We need to change the federal policy, man. These guys.
And, of course, like getting involved in the federal politics. Yeah.
All of these like Diddy's and Trump's and Elon's and all of that are controlling the entire world, and the only thing they care about is adding to the billions and the billions and the trillions.
Yeah. No, and I agree.
That has been the same since, I would say, like 300 AD.
Well, I think. This is not to get deep into theory, but and this might upset some people in the chat because of the sort of vague Marxist soundingness of it. But like, for centuries before the modern economy, before capitalism and feudalism, in ancient times, whenever, right? People generally, at least those in power, they do it a little better. They act based on like their sort of class needs, their materials, their material benefit, right? So when you have a situation right now where you have like Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and so on and so forth, they might not ideologically believe every single thing that Donald Trump says, right? When Donald Trump rails against immigration, but Elon Musk personally directly benefits from immigration, he likes the H-1B visas and so on and so forth, he will not, he will still support Donald Trump, because he knows if Donald Trump is president, he can personally benefit from that. His companies can benefit from that. He takes a ton of money from the United States government. He's like super subsidized for years and years and years. So there's a bit of a conflict of interest, and now he's going to be able to cut things he doesn't like and so on and so forth. But it's in his material interest, his class interest, to get close to power to do that and to have the system that we have now, right? But at some point, if I'm going to predict the future, and it's hard to predict, we've been living in a weird era, or not a weird era. It's kind of predictable. I would think. It's weird.
Fine.
Yeah,
it's absolutely
but
appropriate.
Since the 80s particularly, and you could say to the 70s as well, we have been living in a much more neoliberal period economically, right? Where there has been a lot of austerity, there has been a lot of cuts, tax cuts. Even if we're going to literally start 2 wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, we're still going to be able to cut taxes, right? That's what Bush did. But the thing is this,
fought in Iraq, man, so I understand.
Yeah. And a thing I would say, right? You said you're about 50 or 40?
I'm 50 years old, correct?
This is the thing. It's kind of I like your entire life, right? If you're 50 now, what were you in the 80s? Like in your teens, or you were a kid?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I decided to go into the Army after college, and then 91 Bravo medical specialist, exposed to all of that in Desert Shield.
Yep.
I watched our administration literally dictate a global war on terrorism that had nothing to do with anything going on in the United States, with a country that was completely unaffiliated with anybody that was supposedly attacking us.
Yep. And let me just say quickly,
Bush was
Bobby,
the biggest scam artist our country has ever seen, man.
Bush is insane. And the fact that there's some people that want to normalize him is ridiculous. But real quick, thank you, Bobby, for the $5. I appreciate that. And I agree with you, Bobby. To fix the integrity of the system, we have to get rid of the lobbying, and not just the lobbying, but the money during the campaigns and so on and so forth, right? But in general,
my uncle is a congressman at the federal level. Okay,
really?
I'm not
interesting.
Not bullshitting you. They spend five full days out of a 7-day week doing nothing but calling and raising funds. That's all they do. They sit in a building in D.C. and they call and try to get more money after post-election. Whether they're going to get reelected or not, that's all that they do is call. The congressmen themselves and 16 members of their staff are telemarketing our society for more money. That's what our government is doing, guys. If you guys are listening, paying attention, that's what the hell they're doing.
You see, this is why personally for me, when people ask me directly, what can I do? Not me, but what can they do? I tell them, get involved in the local politics. For me, I don't want to get involved in the federal government, even the state government, because I don't want to be the guy that has to ask for money all the time. And there are, exceptions to the rule. There are people AOC or Bernie Sanders that have a really big base of, small dollar donors that they can just send out an email and they can probably get a bunch of money from that. They don't even have to be the ones making the calls, right? But generally,
you need to
most of our
understand
politicians,
that Bernie Sanders is the Democratic Donald Trump, though, man.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't think that Donald Trump. The thing is, Donald Trump, he does the populism act, but it's just an act, right? Because even in his first campaign, and people have this perception, he wasn't taking the big money. He took a lot of big money, and in this case, he also took a lot of big money.
Let me tell you one or two reasons why Trump is good for this country. And if you need me to get off, so you can move on to somebody else, I understand. But Trump.
We'll try to be quick because I want to end the stream soon. But yeah.
Trump is above and beyond what the government can control. That's why they took a shot at his face with a rifle, right? He doesn't care.
I don't think it was the government that did that, but we can continue. We don't need to get held up on that.
Sure, we don't have to get into that, but either way, Trump and Bernie Sanders are literally a two-headed mule. But both of those people are honestly trying to make the country a better place, and they have a voting foundation that's trying to support them. But then we have the radicals on either side because our country is so divided and so lost. Like you said, this is a weird time. It makes no sense what we're doing anymore. I can call you and talk to you. We can argue, but I'm not I hate you, you hate me. There's none of that. We're having an intellectual conversation, but that art has been lost, right? Yeah.
But this is what I would say, though, about Trump, just to quickly get into that. The issue with Donald Trump and Bernie is, with Bernie, well, one, he has decades of consistency. He had the same policies, right? He hasn't really changed much at all. And the thing is, simply when we just look at the money side of things, he hasn't taken the big money. The most expensive elections he's ever run was for 2 presidential elections in 2016 and 2020. And in both cases, he was running a really strong when it came to the money, but he was doing it through small dollar donors, right? And that's how you know he was not bought. The thing with Trump is he would say, I'm so rich that I don't even need the donors. But then you look at just Open Secrets, which is just a website tracking the money. He took a lot of money from the big donors. I mean, he took money from Sheldon Adelson, in 2016, and then he gave Israel everything he wanted, right? Even things that are outside just campaign financing, right? But after he left the White House, Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, got $2 billion from Saudi Arabia through an investment fund, which is kind of crazy when you put it in perspective, because Donald Trump is worth about $5 billion. That's 2/5 of his entire net worth just there. And of course, he's taken a tremendous amount of money through his businesses and so on and so forth. When it comes to the policy, though, because we've seen him govern, I mean, you don't like Bush, right? We both don't like Bush.
Either one of them.
Yeah, both of them.
Either one. Yep.
Trump governed economically like Bush. He did
because
more
the
tax cuts
policies
and so on and so
were
forth.
sound. Don't get lost in the the personalities. The policies were sound, but the presidential candidates were dipshits. Okay.
I don't think it is a sound policy. Like if someone wants to cut the deficit and then Donald Trump increases spending while cutting revenues because he wants to give tax cuts to the top 1%, that's not good. That doesn't really make much sense. Even from a conservative perspective, you want to cut the deficit, period. So for him to do that is kind of a contradiction. But you were asking a question?
Yeah, it's twofold. I don't want to assume that you side Democratic. Is that correct?
I do generally side with the Democrats, yeah.
Okay, so second prong is, would you have preferred Bernie Sanders or Obama? And that's a very technical question.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're on the same page. I would prefer, as a generalization, and let's not jump into the gravity of the details, I would prefer a Bernie Sanders or a Donald Trump to any of the Clinton, Obama, Bush, the inflated regime of, warmongering evil that has led our country astray. Mm-hmm. If you obviously understand history, I can tell from watching your stream. From World War II, we jumped in to save the world from destruction, or we'd all be speaking German right now, right?
Yeah.
So there's no argument there.
Yeah.
And but post World War II, we had a brief period of how the hell to say it? Hippie, everybody get along, let's make the world a better place. And then it was Vietnam, Gulf War,
general peace,
nonsense. Right. Mm-hmm. And since I would say, I don't know. And
but to be fair, we had Korea in the 50s, and then we did a lot of like proxy stuff, under kind of did it more hidden, but Vietnam was much more out in the open. Yeah.
Military industrial complex has controlled the damn globe since I would say 1965 roughly. Mm-hmm. And we have to turn away from that, and I don't know how to do it. If people are listening, if you have a thought on it, you can jump into local politics. I certainly have. I live in a small community. We only have about 3,000 citizens in the county.
Nice.
We're very rural. Everybody's, cattle and forestry and, chicken coops, whatever they can do. But I choose that. I've lived in the most populous places other than, Asia, but in the United States. And I don't prefer any of that. I would rather keep it small and know who my neighbors are.
Well, I would say this, because you kind of asked what would we do. Not only do I recommend people get into the local politics, which I recommend they do, I recommend they get into the party politics. I certainly am involved in the party politics, the local party politics, and the state. But then also, I would say, in general, what the country needs to do, right? Because I would separate the two recent economic eras into the basic political philosophies that were guiding it. Since Reagan, we've really been living in the neoliberal era, where even if people from the opposing party, like Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, they were both president, but fundamentally, they are not Franklin Roosevelt, John F. Kennedy, and so on and so forth. They were
we
inspired.
Went from quality to quantity.
Yeah. they were very inspired by especially with Bill Clinton. I mean, put in perspective, Ronald Reagan dominated the presidential election 2 times in a row. His vice president won in 92. And then Democrats, trying to win again, they then put this charismatic, politically speaking, young guy. Not young in general, but just politically speaking. No. And he was running much more. He was a new Democrat, a third-way Democrat. He abandoned the sort of, quote-unquote, big government economics of someone like FDR. He didn't want to do a massive infrastructure plan. He wanted more free trade and so on and so forth. And that became the sort of model for what I would say the establishment Democrats. Obama was a lot closer to, say, Bill Clinton than to Bernie Sanders, FDR, JFK, right? When it came to Bush and Trump, they did a lot of that tax cuts for the rich, deregulation, while also increasing spending, which is contrary to their conservative beliefs. again, those are things I disagree with. For any flaw that someone might have with Biden, and he has flaws, I was critical of him when he was running for president from 2016 to 2020. I was saying, don't make him the president, right? Or don't make him the Democratic nominee. So I have my criticism of him, particularly also how he handled Gaza in his term. But when it came to his domestic policy, he did do things like invest into manufacturing, invest into infrastructure, and I think that that's a universally good thing, right? If Donald Trump did that, I would give Donald Trump credit, right? So Biden, because I think he senses things are changing a little bit, is not full-on hardcore neoliberal like he's been for most of his career. He governed somewhat differently when it came to his domestic policy. But what I would hope is in our lifetimes, you in your 50s, me in my 20s, I think we're going to see a bit of a shift, especially with much of the world, neoliberalism is being rejected. We're going to be seeing somewhat of a shift between a sort of populism of the right or a populism of the left. The issue is with the populism of the right is that it's very disingenuous. You have people like Trump that will talk strong but then govern like George W. Bush. With the populism of the left, you have people like Bernie Sanders that will just govern the way he wants to govern, and
so
his
let me
rhetoric
ask you
matches his
something on
policy.
that point.
Yeah.
If Trump comes out and he governs with an iron fist, and I'm not talking to the point of being tyrannical, but I'm talking his policy decisions are implemented as he has stated during the election process. Immediately or post post day one. I apologize. Do you feel that you would support fact that he's actually? Would you support the fact that he's actually getting in there and doing what he's saying that he's going to do? Because I haven't seen anything that's come out of his mouth that really is detrimental to the country. He wants to clean up the streets. He wants to get illegal people out.
I wouldn't really give credit because, say, he gets his agenda done. So the main two things that, like, he would, I guess, get credit for doing the things he promises, which is impressive for politicians. It's just the things that he's been promising, particularly with this election cycle, are not really good. So you have tariffs and mass deportations. That's the main two things that he was running on. The tariffs, he wants to do across-the-board tariffs. Yeah, mass deportations, yep. So the tariffs, though, it's across-the-board tariffs, even if he doesn't do it for all goods coming into the United States, which is what he ran on. He just does it with our three biggest trading partners, about half of all imports in the United States, China, Mexico, and Canada. If he were to put a 20% tariff on all goods, and he said 60% for China, that would make things dramatically more expensive. Again, the difference between the first set of tariffs that he did in his first presidency, he was doing specific things, targeted things. That's the same thing that Biden did. And in general, I didn't really have a problem when he did that in the first time. It's just across the board, I do have a problem with. That's all goods coming in. And he says that he wants to do it. Yeah. But I'll just finish the point on the tariffs real quick. Real quick on the tariffs.
From it. Sure. I'm trying with tariffs. I'm trying to give you some insight from an insider that there's a reason that Elon is a right-hand man for Donald Trump, okay? They understand as a group, as an administration, that the tariffs that need to be in place are to keep the cheap Chinese plastic crap out of our country, and that we are going to control the valuable metals, the resources, going in both directions, and that's been happening since the World Trade Center fell down. They are attempting to restructure the country as it would have been, I would say, from FDR to JFK, basically. And I feel that that's what we need to do. We need to get back to being...
Here, this is what I would say, though, because that's important, right? I want to restructure the economy to what it was with FDR, JFK, even Lyndon Johnson. Lyndon Johnson, not good foreign policy, but good domestically, right?
Correct.
I want to do that. I do not believe that Elon Musk or Donald Trump want to do that because, simply, it is not in their class interest. Elon Musk benefits, his entire career, his wealth benefits from the fact that we have deindustrialized as a nation, and we are no longer, even though we still do have one of the biggest industrial bases in the world compared to other nations, we just happen to be one of the biggest nations in the world, but we have deindustrialized so much, and we become much more of a finance economy, an economy where if you want to become one of the richest people in the world, you have to be an investor, right? So he owns like a company like Tesla. He obviously has a bunch of Tesla stocks, so then when other people buy Tesla because of the hype, they buy, and they get into this loop of wanting other people to buy Tesla stock. of course, he is the biggest benefactor because he likely has the biggest amount of stock in it, right? So we have this, like,
it's the credit card industry. It's
Yeah.
$1,500 loan at 35%, right?
Yep. And the thing is, like,
it's with billions of dollars.
yeah. The thing is, so he benefits from the modern neoliberal economy. We have, like, the Keynesian New Deal economy period, which is like FDR to, I would say, Johnson,
man.
and then
That's
Reagan,
your
Reagan
only
to
weak
now.
point. Your arguments are so strong, and then you want to label everything. That's your channel can blow up and be successful. I've called into several of these places.
I think the labels are just to make things clear. There was a
understand.
period of time where we had Keynesian economics, period. And this economic theory was just a more stable boom and bust cycle, not rapid growth, not rapid declines, and investing in the American economy through projects like infrastructure and through a strong social safety net. Since the 1980s, we've been in a deregulatory system, a cut taxes system, and
and who gives a shit not to buy cocaine?
Yeah, exactly.
And war for opium. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but that's what's going on.
Yeah.
That's what Afghanistan was about. But you, as an intellectual, and I'm not trying to be an ass, man, next generation person, right?
Yeah.
As the next generation with a brain that's coming up, because, like I said, most people can't read or write anymore, which is crazy.
It's concerning.
Don't worry so much about the labels, because the common man that wants to tune in and see you, they're going to get lost on all of that, and they don't have time to Google as fast as you talk, because they're not going to be able to comprehend the quantitative results of your speech. So just slow it down and take some of the labels out and get back to what you truly believe in. You don't have to worry about Democrat or Republican. Just speak your heart, man, and then everybody else can either get on board or piss off, right?
Exactly. That's why when, for example, I don't know if you were here when I was playing Fortnite earlier, but I was focused on the game, so I was like,
for a couple hours before I called.
Yeah. So I was like kind of keeping it broad, and that's why I was telling the people, I was like, pretty much the easiest way to say it is the way the economy is being run now is screwing you and really benefiting the top 1%. The way I want it to be run is how it was run before, from FDR to Johnson.
Let me clarify one thing. I hate to cut you off, man, because you're on point with all of this stuff, okay? Every single citizen, right, that lives with, whether they've just come across from India, China, or Mexico, illegally or not, that's inside the boundaries of the United States is the top 1% of the entire globe. And that's what people forget. The 1% includes everybody that's in this country. And if we keep fighting amongst ourselves and destroying this place that has been so good to all of us, our families, anybody that's immigrated, any of these junk-ass criminal politicians, all the way down the list, man. Everyone that's in this country is a 1%er, right? And that's what everybody forgets. They want to say the 1% of the 1%. That's not what we need to focus on. We are all 1%ers. If you look at the lifestyle of Asia, in rural China, if you look at the entire continent of Africa, people that are still stabbing damn lions with a spear, bro, I'm not even kidding you, man. Just remember that in your brain and in your heart, that these people that live in the rest of the world, they don't have a grocery store, they don't have a gas station, they don't have a Walmart, right? And we take that stuff for granted. And that's the little bit of wisdom, because I don't know, I don't care. I don't give a shit if it's because I'm a little bit older or whatever.
Right now, I'm looking at it right now because I was just kind of curious if for the U.S., if most Americans are part of like sort of a global 1%. I will say this isn't me just trying to be a smartass and trying to correct you, but based on what I can find, and this is Oxfam, they consider, based on global standards, the 1% of the population to be individuals with a net worth of exceeding $1 million, right?
Yeah.
So that's the global. But the point is that I'm just trying to say.
Let me clarify one thing. And
I would say Americans have it good than like the rural Africa, right?
Sure. Think of what your $1 million. This is total hypothetical pie in the sky. Okay. Think about what your $1 million in the States buys you versus if you go into Africa. What are you going to do? And you're going to build like a cinder block, compound
100%.
and get shot out by every, warlord that's around for 100 miles because they want what you have.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I feel what you mean. I feel what you mean.
Sure, and
Yeah.
I'm totally not trying to contradict where you're coming from. What I'm
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
is,
yeah.
I'm so tired of everybody fighting amongst themselves that if we can get back to being, dude, 1950s, bro, 1950s to 1960s, everybody just wanted to come home from everybody blowing each other with tanks and nukes. They
Yep.
just wanted to come home and have kids and have a wife. And I don't give a shit if you want to have a wife, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, whatever, right?
Yeah,
What
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying is they just wanted to come home and have their thing and get a job and start a business or a corporation or whatever their capabilities were. We're limiting each other by political parties now instead of abilities and capabilities, and that's crazy.
This is what I'll say. My goal simply is to at least get us back to an economic period where if you worked for a company, right, and we saw growth, and your CEO saw growth, that your growth mirrors them. Because we used to live in a country where that was the case, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
And unfortunately now, and this has been kind of the case since the 80s and, I would even say the 70s, right? That's
Correct.
where we saw wages become stagnant. Okay, you're going to grow 18% in 40 years, but then your boss is going to grow 1,000, 2,000, 3,000%, whatever it might be, right? And also, the company's doing better. And also, you could. I hear some people
By
say, "Well, what about
300%.
I hear people say, "What about technology, though? It's the technology." And I'm like, well, technology hasn't suddenly there's graphs showing like productivity with the wages. The productivity has not like changed trajectory dramatically. It's like exclusively just the wealth for the top 1%. I'm personally, because some people were saying that I'm not a capitalist because I criticize billionaires, right? No, no, capitalism is not defined. Capitalism, socialism is not defined by your opinion of billionaires, right?
Thousands, millions, or billions, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I want a capitalism where regular people can also benefit from it. And if
Which
someone
is
is
what we
interested,
had in 1950. That's
I agree.
my point. Absolutely.
Yep. 100% agree with you. And that was because of we had a much tougher tax code. And that's one of the things we talk about, the corruption, right? How billionaires have so much influence in our politics. One of the ways we deal with that is by taxing them a lot more. And people are like, but don't they make the jobs? They'll still make the jobs. When you cut corporate tax rates, a lot of the times it's not going to the people, it's going to stock buybacks. It just is.
Bro, that's residual fucking Nazis, okay? All of those damn Rockefellers and Howells and, I mean, all of those folks were so wrapped up in corruption before it even got started that they saw all the opportunity to make money. It's ridiculous. Let me give you an example. I'm not trying to tangent here. Jeep was going to be manufactured by some, I don't even remember, some little ass company to make all of those little Jimmies for World War II in like Indiana or some shit.
Yeah.
And then they were like, no, the federal government jumped in and said, you guys can't do this. You're too small. So we're going to send it to this manufacturer and you'll have to look it up.
I want to quickly say this. Because I see this in the chat. I find this hilarious. This person risking my biscuit 420. This guy's going to praise Gavin Newsom when he runs for president. I love this.
Gavin Newsom, man.
I love this assumption that just because, and I'll say this directly, I am a Democrat. I'm involved in the party. But just because I tend to vote Democrats, and I am a Democrat, means I must love all Democrats in the same way Trump supporters love Trump. No, I don't.
All right,
I'm very critical of him.
Chat?
You know?
You're actually watching somebody that has a damn brain, and they have their facts, I would say, like 90% on point. And other than throwing a few hand grenades here and there, you need to fucking pay attention. And if you didn't, it's because you didn't get the proper education. If you don't have the proper education, do like dude said and Google, if you can, follow along quickly enough while he's playing Fortnite to Google something.
Yeah, literally.
But if not, then you need to just rethink your life, because this country is on a trajectory that's not going to be beneficial for any of us if we all don't come together and have a kumbaya moment.
Yep. And that's the thing. I will say at the end of the day, because I'll finish up with this, because I gotta
Go ahead.
I'm gonna go to sleep soon. But I am optimistic, right? So like, for example, this chat, I'm obviously going to be attracting a lot of MAGA, mainly because of a few factors. One, I have something critical of Trump in the title, and I'm the screen.
Whatever.
So
Yep.
it's just natural. It's gonna happen.
That's what
If-
hooked me,
yeah.
dude. Whatever.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It's a hook. It's like basic essay writing. You always start with the hook, right? But generally, when I talk,
This dude
I'm
just said
talking
English
about
101.
yeah, English 101, right? Yeah, exactly. But when I'm talking about things, I'm talking about class consciousness. I'm talking about unionization. I'm talking about corruption, and of course, the deep MAGA people in chat are not gonna get it, and some of these people are gonna be like, no, you can't ever disrespect a billionaire. They're really good for us, and they really care about us. And unfortunately, those people are gonna refuse to be moved. But I think with this election, Donald Trump won, but he really didn't win by like some kind of mandate. He got 49% of the vote. Both candidates were not particularly popular, and elections all across the world had incumbent parties losing, except Mexico, where there was actually a popular leftist progressive.
Well, that's cartel
person,
shit.
yeah.
We can't even.
Well, it wasn't the cartels that voted. Like AMLO was just popular, and AMLO was anti-establishment, and then Claudia Sheinbaum also anti-establishment and anti-neoliberal. Claudia Sheinbaum actually was giving a speech calling out neoliberalism and all that stuff, but I digress. I focus on all these different things, and for the people that are willing to hear it, they're gonna hear it, and that's the thing. These MAGA people are great because they'll boost the stream. This isn't even the biggest stream, pretty good concurrent viewers when it comes to consistency. It actually has only gone up for about the 2 hours that I've been streaming, but I've gotten
Bro, I was
like
scrolling some YouTube and I was
Yeah.
like, what is this dude talking about?
Yep. Yeah, no, and the people like you that we're not in perfect alignment, right? Like you said, you don't vote. I'm a person that really encourages people to not just vote, but get in politics, and I do have a bit more optimism in what can be done. So, but in
should
general,
we support the
we
white
agree.
elephant of the electoral college, man? I mean, come on, bro.
Yeah.
I know you don't have time for all that. That's a whole
Yeah.
different conversation, but
In general, we can agree on issue and just the fact that shit is fucked up
and policy
and that it
policy.
needs change.
Correct.
And
Yep.
what my prediction is, and we kind of see this in sometimes dark ways, right? Like with the Luigi Mangione stuff. I'm not for anybody getting shot,
Oh, man.
but
Sure. But
You
did
know,
it hurt
it-
anything?
yeah, I'm not for anybody getting shot. But when that CEO
Nope.
got killed, a lot of people were not really sorry for him, and a lot of
Should have
people
taken out some
yeah.
doctors and surgeons and all the other crooks, man. Like, what the hell?
A lot of people were real understanding of the point Luigi was making, and you had obviously people on the left were kind of were obviously some people were supportive of Luigi, but also there were people on the right, and
Okay,
I don't
but
know.
it turned
yeah.
into gun legislature, man. What is going on?
Yep.
It wasn't even about the murder of the man. It turned into, well, we can't have silencers and pistols, and I was like, oh, good grief, you guys are idiots. The dude was assassinated walking down the street, and all they're worried about silencers.
This person here says, but in your sentence shows you're happy the guy died. I'm not happy anybody died. Frankly, if there was Medicare for all in this country, that would be another life saved because that motherfucker wouldn't be a health insurance CEO, right? I want to save
Canada, one
more
of the
billionaires.
only things they have right is universal health care for all citizens, which should be a fundamental right in the United States. The greatest democracy, liberty, light on a hill. Should be fundamental, free health care. You walk into a damn hospital and you're not charged $8,000
Yes.
to get a CAT scan.
It's crazy that people
Right?
are charged for giving birth,
Yeah, you're bringing more people into the country that we need that are going to grow up and be citizens, and you're charging $20-something thousand to have a baby born, which is just pushing out a cooter. I mean, come on.
And what was interesting when people... The Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro, right? He released a video talking about the Luigi Mangione stuff, and he was, giving his typical rant, saying how outrageous it is that there are some people that are not outraged about this and somewhat supportive of Luigi Mangione. And the funny thing is there was a lot of right-wingers in the audience that were supportive. Another thing I would say about Trump in general, I think one of his appeals... is that he feels more populist, though I disagree when it comes to the actual policies he pushes, and people like that about him. I think, in due time, we will likely see, hopefully, FDR-like figure pop up, get the respect of most people, win in a landslide, and actually do good policy. It might seem impossible today, especially you're 50 years old. Pretty much your entire life, you had Reagan, the Bushes, Clinton, Obama, Biden, Trump, and so on and so forth. I think, in a weird way, you were kind of like, you came of age in a time of unique presidential mediocrity, right? But
Yeah,
I don't think
absolutely.
that in the same way, even though FDR was massively influential to the point he won 4 elections in a row and completely transformed the discourse of this country and what was considered the sort of middle of this country, his impact, his influence did not last forever, and that's how we got Reagan, right? So this sort of Reaganomics, neoliberalism trickled down. It won't last forever. I think it's impossible to say it'll just last forever. So. And as for me, go ahead.
None of our country, none of the populace, whatever you want to define it as, none of the citizens understand history. They don't understand what was going on 50 years ago. They don't understand what was going on 80 years ago. Most of them can't define the beginning and end of World War II.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm excited to see a person such as yourself. I don't give a shit about your left or right or, negative positive, any of that. I would rather see someone that gets their facts straight, that has a brain, that is knowledgeable, try to dictate the future of this country by paying attention to what's going on. And if that requires someone calling in to debate you, who gives a shit? If that requires you remaining on the air, I think that's beneficial to our society. If anybody's listening, I think they need to like and subscribe. I don't subscribe to a single person on YouTube at all whatsoever, not one. And I'm going to go ahead and subscribe to you, man.
Hey, well, I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that.
Yep.
And I guess we can finish off because we were going on this sort of final part for a very long time now. I think things are going to get better from here, and a lot of the Trump people are not going to like this in the comments. Biden was different from Obama by a lot.
He was.
In some ways, not.
Do you, from your perspective, think he was controlled by Obama? That's what my concern is. Do you think
I don't
the Obama
think so
administration
because
was residual?
I don't think so because fundamentally Obama was a lot more centrist than he was, and some people in the comments are gonna be like, "What? No, Obama's a Kenyan communist Muslim." No, Obama was much closer to Bill Clinton than Joe Biden's presidency. Joe Biden, I think, is someone that has been around the game for a long time, right? And he got into politics the same time. I think Richard Nixon was president, and Jimmy Carter became president. Reagan was president. Man. He's old school, but he came in a time where we were transitioning to the sort of neoliberal era that we're living in, the right-wing economic era, I would say, the deregulation, whatever. And he governed in that way in the Senate. He was not particularly progressive at all. He was a conservative Democrat. But then when he was president,
push some agenda that was handed to him.
Yeah, when he was president, I think what he saw, the assessment that he made is he sees that there is an anti-establishment populism. He sees that there are people like Bernie and Elizabeth Warren. There are people like Lena Khan at the FTC that are embracing the sort of the overall legacy of Franklin Roosevelt, but also even the antitrust legacy of Teddy Roosevelt. And because, he's super old. Obviously, his brain is not the same that it was, but I'm sure he can still think thoughts. I think for his legacy, he was like, okay, I'm going to be that return to New Deal economics.
Dude had a stroke or something they did not want to tell us about, which is, when you're 90 million years old, that shit happens.
Yeah. But the thing is, so his health is one thing, but I think he did understand, I want to be that new FDR. The issue is, he's a lot weaker than FDR, both mentally, physically, and politically. And he wanted to do Build Back Better, which had a lot of big transformational things in it. It would have been the biggest economic policy since the Great Society or the New Deal, potentially. And it had a lot of policies that Bernie pushed for.
Brought up the New Deal.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring up the New Deal a lot. That's my shit. But it was the biggest. It would have been the biggest transformation in a real long time.
This is only my second time watching you. My bad, man.
No problem. I didn't say shit because I was mad. But but yeah, like I was saying though, Build Back Better would have been massive. The thing is, it was right-wing conservative Democrats like Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema that were like, no. And because the Senate is so... the Senate was so tight that, they couldn't get Build Back Better done. So they did the Inflation Reduction Act, which had a lot of good things in my view, but it was a lot less concise. It was a lot less impactful. And then when the Israel stuff came along, he became very, very pro-Israel. I think that's one of the few policy positions he genuinely believes in.
Motherfucker is like an A list of what you need to reference for your SATs.
Honestly, my SATs weren't that good. I'm not really a big. I wasn't the best student.
I know. I get that. I was doing the same thing. So that's so hilarious. It cracks me up, man. No,
but yeah,
I can't even find anybody with any kind of youth in them that knows what the fuck is going on anymore in the world.
Well, honestly, in my view, I think there is a change. And the thing is, you said this, a lot of people can't read past the 6th grade level, and that's concerning. But the thing is, in every major big transformation in our political history, right, when FDR came in charge, what was happening before FDR? In the 1920s, there was 3 conservative presidents. I think Harding in particular was like uniquely corrupt, like known for the corruption and then he as he was really getting investigated, he got like a fucking heart attack and died. Then Calvin Coolidge became president. Come on, man. Then Calvin Coolidge and then Herbert Hoover, right? But 3 conservative presidents in a row in the 1920s, and it was a lot of people being like, it was conservative economics. It's like, we can let the corporations do whatever they want. They make more money. We make more money. Go fucking get out alone.
You got to pay attention to the people that actually paid attention in high school history class.
Yes, 100% agree. Because if people understand this history, that their whole look in the world will be different, man, for sure. But 1920 is a whole decade of conservative economics. And then by 1932... by 1928, there was the Depression. And such an impact, there was such a massive impact economically that the people felt, that when 1932, Franklin Roosevelt, which, by the way, former Democratic vice presidential nominee in 1920, a failed election, the Democrats lost, and he literally just got polio in that decade. He couldn't walk anymore. And he ran for president, and he absolutely dominated 1932. But it wasn't because... people were reading the history and so on and so forth, or people were people were suddenly academics. People were poor. People literally did not have the time for that shit. But they understood that this guy, FDR, came at the right time, in a time where people were suffering, and people will react based on their situation. So if I were to give a prediction, and I know I'm saying a lot, but I think this is a good point to finish this point off, I don't think that Donald Trump is going to perform economically well. And obviously there's going to be people in chat that disagree. I think it's
interesting that you bring up the Depression, because I think COVID was literally a man-made reciprocation of that event, which causes me concern, because that shut down so many small businesses, medium businesses. So many people were just tucked in their home, concerned about something that, they at one point told us there was going to be 500,000 dead bodies on the street if we didn't all lock ourselves down, and that shit just didn't happen. I walked around without a mask the entire time, and I got COVID and whatever. And that's here nor there. But my point is to get to your point that a depression of an economy is a substantial event, and you need to pay attention to it. And that this was our Great Depression. Yes, it wasn't dirt flying in the air and people couldn't grow food. I mean, it's drastically different, but it had the same effect.
It wasn't. There was a massive economic downturn, right? Like, it's interesting, but this is what this is. Not to get too technical.
One point, man. Let me hear you say it. The downturn was not caused by Trump. It was caused by whoever was running that COVID agenda. Donald Trump was saying, let's do this, let's do this. He was trying to find solutions, and he's a president. He's out there in a public eye. I don't feel that he was trying to say, Great
Well,
discussion. Let's do it
I'm
again.
not particularly putting any blame for the
Okay.
COVID, the economic situation. Every single country, every single leader during COVID was in a weird spot, right?
Very
We
good.
haven't seen since the Spanish flu, right? But the reason I'm
That's
saying
all I
that there
wanted
would
to hear is
likely
that you're
be
fair, man.
economic problems coming forward because of Trump is in the same way that we saw economic problems after the 1920s. You know, there was a lot of conservative economics. It was laissez-faire, which is very similar to neoliberalism. Again, keywords, but
Yep. That's right.
what we've seen in the in this century, right? As we've embraced neoliberalism, one of the key tenets of Keynesianism, which was FDR's ideology, you could say, and the ideology of America from the 40s, 50s, 60s, right, was a stable boom and bust cycle. Instead of having rapid growth and rapid declines, stable. We're going to have times of growth, we're going to have times of decline, but if it's stable, you can plan ahead and your whole life's not going to be ruined, right? But as we've done this neoliberalism,
Quit being stupid, man. Pay attention.
Yeah.
Good grief.
As we've done this neoliberalism, this deregulation, this tax cuts, all this stuff, austerity, cut the social safety net, we've seen much more dramatic rises, and we've seen much more dramatic falls, which is why the recession earlier in the century was considered the worst economic downturn since the Depression. And then,
Dude, chat, I don't know this dude from Adam at all. I don't care if you believe it or not. Fucking like and subscribe. I'm giving him a fucking free advertisement. I
Yes.
have no idea who this dude is at all. Don't know his name. Don't know his channel.
Yes.
This is stuff you need to hear, man, to be an American. It has nothing to do with where your political ties are or what you believe on the right or the left. You need to understand our history. And if you can't do that, you can't be an American. And if you can't be an American, you don't need to vote. And you need to get your kids into a better educational system. So,
Yep.
my bad.
Yep.
I had to throw that
No
in
problem,
there.
no
And I
problem.
know these people are going to be like, oh, this guy's throwing in advertisements. Nope.
Yeah.
I don't know this dude at all, man.
It's fascinating, you know, we're just talking, again, we're not in full agreement, but we're having a conversation about so many different things about history, right? Things that aren't really disputable, it's just describing history. And you have people like this individual that says, I really feel sorry for your delusion. When you awake from this, you will be amazed at the truth. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna fucking wake up, watch Fox News, realize, oh my gosh, it turns out I think Sean Hannity has everything, is looking out for me. Sean Hannity cares about me. I'm sorry, but that's not being awake. Just look at the world around you.
Number one, you can't watch any media anymore. You've got to get it from people like you that just have an unbiased opinion that's not influenced from millions of dollars of bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to say it like that, but you know, if you're sponsored by Coca-Cola or whatever, and I don't know it, then I'm an asshole. But if you're just on here trying to get your channel going, then one of the most intellectual and honest people that I've run into.
Well,
that
thank
just
you very
tries to
much.
get- You're welcome, man. And I don't care if our political views line up or not, because as you said, we could have a conversation. It either works out or it doesn't.
I love this person here. So what you said, it's hard to trust anybody in the media. We have to be real critical when we're looking at media. Of course, I listen to certain pieces of media, not really the mainstream media, but also much of independent media is also not great either, right? Because a lot of independent media, you're seeing, one, former mainstream media people, but two, the same corrupting influences of mainstream media are also infecting independent media. So, for example, this person says, Benny Johnson is the best. I know Benny Johnson. Benny Johnson's a conservative influencer. Benny Johnson, number one, got in a massive scandal for taking like millions of dollars from Russia. Like, if there's going to be something that makes your opinion a little biased, it's taking money from a foreign government. Not good. Also, Benny Johnson got fired from BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed is not like the Washington Post or New York Times where they're like the newspaper establishment. They hold themselves in prestige. BuzzFeed is mainly just like culture and entertainment. Benny Johnson got fired because he's a plagiarist.
For 20 or 30 years now, man. BuzzFeed is nothing but trash.
Like, yeah, some people have the opinion that BuzzFeed is trash, but Benny Johnson worked for him, and Benny Johnson got fired because he's a plagiarist. He couldn't even do his writing. You know? So the thing is, of course, there are people in the media that I respect that, unsurprisingly, they probably have similar views to mine. But of course, I can look at them with a critical eye. I used to be an intern at the Young Turks, right? And there's people like Cenk Uygur there, Anna Kasparian, and I'm critical of certain things that Cenk and Anna have been doing in the last few months, where I feel like they're sort of shifting their positions. But then there's other media people like Kyle Kulinski or Sam Cedar that have been in the game for a while, Sam even longer, and both of them have been consistent. And in terms of the sponsorships, like Kyle doesn't take any sponsorships, so he's very uncorrupted there. For me, if I were to get a sponsorship, I'm not going to get a sponsor from a company I don't believe in. That's simply it. If fucking a shaving company wants to sponsor me to like put $5 Shave Club next to my Fortnite code thing, I'll do that, right? But like, I'm not gonna take like an ExxonMobil sponsorship. You know what I mean? I don't think they'd really even be interested.
Don't take a Tesla either, man. One thing I want to say is just be honest to who you are and who gives a shit about all. I know you're. I mean, to be honest, you're on here to get your opinion out, make a little money if you can. I get that, man. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what everybody else is doing. But the point is that you actually understand what the fuck you're talking about. I apologize for the French.
No problem, no problem.
If there's any subscribers or listeners, whatever, y'all get over yourselves, man. There's 1,000 other F-bombs coming out of everything you listen to on the radio every day. So get over yourselves. But
I do love the occasional viewer that gets upset when I curse at them. And it's like, you're on YouTube.
This dude was throwing grenades while he's playing Fortnite. So get over yourselves, you know?
Yep.
What should I call you?
Nathan, that's all. The TheNathanGalang is my username. Nathan is perfectly fine.
All right, you pick a name for me if you want me to call back in. I'm going to subscribe as soon as I get off the channel. I have to actually get on to moving on to my day-to-day and driving in the ice in the morning. But
no problem, brother. Hey, I appreciate your time. We've been going on for a long time. I appreciate that you were willing to listen and have an actual conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, good grief, man. I hope your channel blows up. And if you people don't understand, this isn't American, and it doesn't matter what side of the views you're on. You need to shut your mouth. You have two ears and one mouth for a reason. Try to listen and understand it. And if you don't agree with something, call the man and talk to him, because this is no bullshit. I don't know this guy at all. And I called in, he actually answered the phone. I've tried to do this on several of these podcasts, which is what I would call this. This is like, Joe Rogan stuff up and coming, just to not to qualify it, but to quantify it, okay? And if you don't understand that, Google it and give this man a call and have a conversation.
Hey, thank you, brother. Hey, good luck at work.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'll subscribe, and I'll see you shortly, man.
Thank you. All right, see you later.
Have a good night. Yep, bye-bye.
All right, good conversation, folks. I'm going to stop streaming right now. That was a long conversation, but a great conversation. And sometimes you just got to be patient. I was waiting for somebody to call in and have something insightful, and a lot of you MAGA folks are really struggling. And you guys want to talk shit in the chat, and I get it, it's late, but this guy had the balls to come in, disagree, and it turns out, while we were disagreeing and being open about our disagreement, we were civil enough to come to an agreement. We made $15 from this stream, so shout out to that dude that donated $10 and $15. You're real. And then, of course, your MAGA people are upset because a guy that likes Donald Trump, just to be clear, the guy said he likes Donald Trump, is reasonable enough to hear somebody that doesn't like Donald Trump, and it turns out that they actually liked what the other side had to say. It's possible. It's possible. But unfortunately, a lot of you guys want to stay in your bubble. But even you guys that stay in your bubble, thank you for watching, for subscribing, for chatting, for talking your shit. The Michigan Man, you can subscribe and you can try to come in next time. I'm going to go to sleep now, okay? Alright. You had a chance for hours, but I'm going to head out now, okay, brother? Okay? Alright. And John Adams, John Adams, brother, you say you Filipino, dog? You have been here the whole time. You gotta understand that you being here alone is legitimately helpful to my channel, man. You are part of the engagement. And he's like, oh, don't subscribe. You are being... I'm saying this directly to you. You're being a bit of a useful idiot for your side. You don't want me to succeed, but you're here helping me, so thank you very much. Anyway, folks. I gotta go now. 2 hours, 40 minutes, but a good stream.